welcome to episode 176 of Zapped to the Past. I am Adrian Mills, and joined as always by Mr. Graham Raddings. If you haven't listened before, then this is a podcast where we discuss games that are released for the Commodore 64. We are using the magazine Zapped 64 as a monthly guide for the games to focus on, but we are, of course, no way affiliated with Zapped 64 itself. This week, we start our look at April 1991, and the first batch of games reviewed in issue 72 of Zapped 64, along with what was also going on in the UK singles and albums chart that month. Graham, I feel it in my bones that April will have some standout games. Tell me I'm not wrong.
Here we go, April 1991, a month with some surprises and not a lot of them great, that's for sure. So in a month that also saw the Space Shuttle STS-37, or the Atlantis 8, launch from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, we hoover up some peanuts, pack up our trunks and say goodbye to the dull life as we leap from an aeroplane and into the platform-filled world of CJ's Elephant Antics. And then check out our video wristwatch, dive into our police car and head to the scene of the C-64 crime that is the bloody awful version of Dick Tracy. The yin and the yang of Commodore 64 games. Budget games leading the way, while full-price games choke the idea of fun to death. Sad times indeed. So while we contemplate how big an umbrella we would need for an elephant to float, we head to the safe, child-friendly space of dreamy adventures and wishes as we scoot around a house looking for things in the ultra-nice world of Huxley Pig, before finally heading out once again to the 8-bit football stadiums for a good old-fashioned kickabout, this time in the fidgety and odd world of Gazza II. Has April started with a sunny outlook or rainy thunderstorms? We can only hope that any April showers we may experience are quickly moved on for something altogether better. They stand out, all right? They stand out. Maybe not quite for the reasons you might hope, but they do stand out.
Yeah, well, you know, it's bad, good is better than average, isn't it? I suppose you really want, you want either end. Either end is good. In the sense of,
yes, in the sense of talking about it. Yeah.
When it's bang in the middle average, you're like, it's all right, it's all right, it's all right.
Yeah, but, and I think we're going to get to the point now where we're at that cusp where the games are less average and they are either bad or they're good, because we're towards the end of the C64's life now and the end of the magazine's life, really, coming rapidly towards. And so obviously the volume of games is going to significantly decrease. We know this. And therefore the effort is going to be either get it out there or, we've been planning this for ages, so it's that or the other, isn't it? It doesn't always work out so well, did it? I mean, when we spoke about Last Ninja 3, that had a lot of money put into it. But sometimes the loop is just not quite the loop that you want.
No, and that loop was a loop that had been done better before, in a better way.
Yeah, exactly. Weird. That and Weltris, wasn't it? Games that tried to add more to the original, but actually took stuff away from it. Interesting concept. Yeah. You mentioned it last episode. I find it quite a fascinating concept. What,
subtraction by addition? Yeah. You add some stuff and it makes things worse. It's like adding jam to tea.
It would sweeten it, wouldn't it? But it wouldn't be very pleasant unless you like strawberry tea.
And some people do, don't they? They like those kind of weird teas. Apparently likes lemon and ginger, I think it is.
Yeah, flavoured teas. Mint. I'm partial to a mint tea now and again. I do like green tea. I like quite a lot of green tea. I quite like that.
What does green tea taste of? Because I don't know what the flavour of green is.
It's not really like it's got I suppose it has a taste. It's just kind of pleasant, tasty. It tastes like tea. It's green tea.
This is what our listeners come for. This in-depth tea talk.
What does green tea taste like? It tastes like tea.
But green. Okay.
Well, it's not green necessarily. I think it's just, it's got herbs in it, I guess. I don't know.
It has. Anyway, enough of this tea talk. There's other talk that needs to be done, and that talk is cover talk. It is a new month. There's a new cover to look at. So, Graham, let's have a look at this new cover. What's your thoughts on this cover?
Rusty. Bit rusty. Bit dirty.
It's for the Back to the Future 3. They've got that stupid slant on the letters again, haven't they?
Yes, it's back. It must be there. It's obviously a house style.
It's a bad
not
house
one
style.
I agree with. No, it shouldn't be. I mean, why do it?
No.
But it's obviously their house style. I would understand it if Zap was like that. The two Z's were two Z's. The two Z's were like that. But anyway, it's not, is it? So I don't. It's a cover that's for the Back to the Future 3, obviously.
Yeah.
And what it told me was that they probably hadn't seen the film at this point.
Yeah, maybe.
Or at least they they've read a script, I think.
They'd been told that there was the DeLorean on the tracks and a train behind it. That because it was in the Wild West, they had to add some Native Americans to it, which I don't remember them being in the film.
They are right at the start only, because when he first goes through into the past.
Yes, but I don't remember being in this sequence in the film.
No, they're not. Not at all. No, they're not.
No.
In fact, the other thing missing from that is Marty in the car.
Yeah, and Mary Steenburgen, her character as well.
So they sort of got that right.
Yeah, I mean, it looks the part. I mean, it's not actually an Oliver Frey one, is it? This is drawn by Chris Weston.
Yeah, and it's very detailed. It's got little tiny details, isn't it?
Appropriate name.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's not terrible. It's quite. It's like the other ones he's done. They're quite comic booky, aren't they? Yeah,
it's a different style to Oliver Frey's, which takes some time to get used to. But actually, when you do look at it, it's pretty good. It's actually it's not a bad rendition. What I think it lacks, and this is the thing, what I think it lacks in comparison to Oliver Frey, I imagine that if this was an Oliver Frey one, that train would feel like it was hurtling.
Yeah.
There'd be speed lines and there'd be stuff. And I don't think that background would be there. It'd just be the train coming at you in the car. And I feel that you'd have that kind of, he does, like when he does his car games, the car one he did, there's speed. He gets speed into his drawings.
The kineticism of that movement would be in there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and that's the kind of lacking here. It looks a bit like it's like they're just parked.
Yeah, and then because these backgrounds are busier than Ollie Frey's, it means the writing gets a bit lost in amongst the Native Americans there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But yeah, so it's an okay cover. It's okay. I think it's better than some of the other ones. It's not the worst one I know that's coming. So
it looks like the movie in essence, doesn't it? It's got a giant steam train, Doc Brown hanging off the side of it. You've got some Native Americans chasing it. That isn't from the film, and then you've got the DeLorean at the front. It's mostly Back to the Future 3, though.
Mostly.
Yeah. And I don't quite know what the reference of why it says 131 in the middle of the train, just because I don't think it says that in the original, but maybe it does. Could be wrong.
It's been a while since I've seen it, so
must refer to something. I think
I don't know.
An in joke.
It must be, I guess. But yeah, it's all right. It's a good drawing. It's obviously a lot better than I could do. It's just lacking a bit of oomph. And like you said, it's lacking Marty. I just noticed Jay's not in the car. It's a ghost car.
Yeah, he needs to be in the car. I don't think he leaves the car at any point during that sequence. I don't remember him leaving the car.
No, I don't think so, because he's just hanging on for dear life at that point and needs to try and get to 88 miles per hour.
Yeah, exactly, because he's got to keep an eye on the pressure gauge in the car, hasn't he? Because it boosts. Yeah. Playable games on this. It was a cover tape, wasn't it, on this one? I didn't play any of the games for the cover tape, though. No, well, we'll look at them. I mean, there's no point in looking at Back to the Future 3 because we've got that either in a couple of episodes' time, or at least next week. We have.
We've got Bomboozle on there, though. That's a good game to get for free.
Good game. Yeah, it isn't bad for free, is it? That was quite
that's a really good puzzle game. There's also Winter Camp Demo, which is we'll obviously look at that because it's a sequel to Summer Camp.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that.
So we haven't looked at that. And there was also Wizard Wars.
I don't think we liked that so much, did we, Wizard Wars?
No, I don't think so. But that was the one with the really tiny screen in the middle, wasn't it? That was all you could see of the world. Was that one?
Seemed to think it was that one. I'd have to look it up, and I'm not going to. I remember the music, though. I remember the music for Wizard Wars.
I'm pretty sure it was that one, because it was done by, I think, the guy we've actually got one of his games. Well, it is that one with the little screen with the picture of the guy. But the coder on that one is Paul Clancy, and we'll look at one of his games this week as well. So that's why I think that's maybe on there.
Yeah, okay.
Quite possibly.
You could win a Ghetto Blaster. That's a depreciated term, isn't it now? But you can win a Ghetto Blaster and a complete Commodore software guide. The 1985 to 1990 Zap Bible. Does that mean you can win that, or does that just putting that on there?
No, I think that's just on there. I think it's just they've put a guide to all the games that they've ever reviewed in that period of time. We should have known that.
That would have been handy to know, wouldn't it?
Instead of having to go through all the magazines and see what they reviewed.
Games they mentioned on the front. Swiv, of course, is in this one, isn't it?
Swiv is in this one. Oof, I can't believe that Amiga score. We'll get to that.
Lotus Turbo Esprit Challenge is in this one. Bit of a biggie, that one.
Yeah, was it, or was it the second one was the biggie?
I think they're all good. The Lotus games are all good.
We played the second one, though, didn't we? That's where we paired up Amigas at your...
we played all of them, and I don't know which one it was until I play it. I've not looked at the Amiga one.
And the Magic Candle, but I think that's an Amiga game.
It's an RPG, isn't it? So.
Yeah, we're not going to look at that. But also Back to the Future 3. That italicized first letter is really annoying me.
It shouldn't be there. And also, you'll notice that the kerning on the letters is actually a bit tight on some of these. The Back to the Future has got squashed in to try and fit it in. So they've squashed all the letters in. So the actual space between the letters, the kerning, is well off. Or is that the letter spacing? That may not be the kerning. The kerning might be the space between the words. It doesn't matter. It's all squashed a bit.
I don't know. Anyway, it's an okay cover. It just lacks the oomph for a good Ollie Frey cover. A good Ollie Frey. And I think
it does.
That's what it's missing. There you go. Yep. It's not bad. But it's good drawing, though. It's just a bit static.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we actually get on to what our listeners come for, which is the games, Graham?
I suppose we should, really.
We should. All right, let's get to our very first game of April. We have 4 this week, and let's get to the first one of those. And Graham, it's over to you to, tell us all about the strange antics of a certain CJ in CJ's Elephant Antics.
Yeah, okay. I don't know who CJ is, but anyway, it's about an elephant, isn't it? Quite a nice little game, this, actually. This is a budget game from Codemasters. It was £3, $2.99, 94% though. And it's a silver medal.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting for a budget game, because normally they get like that, not quite as high kind of mark, but I think this one deserves a little bit of a attention. So this was developed by Genesis Software. These are all kind of new kids on the block. They've done stuff after this, but prior to this is just, they're a new bunch. So this was coded by somebody called Dave Clark. The graphics are by Jonathan Smythe, and the musician here was Ashley Hogg. Now these guys will go on to do other things, but this was kind of their foray into something else. So I think the best way to start this is to sort of look at the actual instructions are very light, as is the plot. And that's kind of on purpose. So the plot, after being captured in Africa for the purposes of being put in a zoo, turbulence hits the plane transporting CJ the elephant to England, causing his cage to open. He grabs a nearby umbrella and leaps out the airplane while somewhere over France. After landing, CJ realizes he will have to make his way back home to Africa on foot. There you go. That's your plot. Nice and neat.
Nice.
None of this complicated, transporting through time nonsense and all the rest of it. And this is from the instructions. And again, like I said, there's not a lot to them. CJ's cartoon caper across the world. This is what this is. Climb the Eiffel Tower, duel the Hunchback, discover the Yeti, pharaohs, lost tombs and Sphinx, Mysterio jungle mazes, safari wildlife, active volcanoes, and more. Incredible international action. Probably shouldn't write that on something like this. That has a whole different meaning, doesn't it, nowadays? Somewhere over France, an airplane carries CJ. We've been through that. But so it's actually kind of it. This game kind of plays out as a platform game. Now, the genesis of this, so this was out on the Amiga, the Atari ST, and the Spectrum. The genesis of this is actually a little bit before, isn't it? So let's just take a step back because we need to look at the games that weren't, because the games that weren't has an entry for this. It has an entry for what this became this rather. And that was that this started out as a New Zealand story, or it started out as New Zealand story, should I say.
Yeah.
And when you look at it and you play it, you realize exactly, you sort of look at it and go, that makes complete sense, because it kind of more or less is that with different sprites and it's different, but you can see how it started out. Now, according to the games that weren't, New Zealand Story version 1 was pretty much there before Ocean decided to pull the plug on that and just take it to an internal team. Now, there is a page of entry on this on the games that weren't, as I say, and you can go and look at that. There is actually a downloadable version of the preview of this. And so the actual people who did this, they were from a Northern Ireland company, it says on the games that weren't. They'd coded some other things, Beach Volley Simulator and a few other things. They were assigned the task of converting New Zealand Story, and then it was just removed from them for whatever reason. Now, there's a few, I'm guessing that on this, and this is all kind of information surface, but the story is then that they obviously took what they had as what sounds like a fairly complete game and added loads of extra graphics, did the music, rethought about it, reinvigorated it, and created CJ's Elephant Antics. And then Codemasters looked at that, went, yeah, we'll release that. No problem whatsoever. Give us it now. Yeah. And you can sort of see why. So just to dive in, because that's all there is to the story. So when you start the game, you'll get a really nice title screen, nice, jolly enough music. It's all pretty good, actually. Quite Hubbard-esque, actually, the music in its own way. And you've got fairly simple options, 1 player, 2 player, which is sequential. Music on or off, although I actually found that when I turned the music off, I got no sound effects in the version I played. I don't know why. Yeah, no, there isn't any sound effects, just music. So, which is odd. So I don't quite know what's going on there. Must be an error or something. Or you can quit or pause the game. That's the only instructions you need. The game itself then is a platform game spread out over those different countries that I spoke of. So you actually start the game in France, and then, as I've already explained, I won't go over it again, but you move The idea is you get to the end of the level, fight the boss, get to the next level, fight the boss, that's it. Along the way, you are in control of a cute little elephant character. You can shoot and throw bombs, which are in limited supply. The idea then, you control this with your joystick or keys, I suppose, if you want to. I didn't see any keys for it, but you control it with joystick. And the idea is you move around, jump up the platforms, and find your way to the end of the level, avoiding the multitude of enemies that are otherwise in your way. Now, the UI for this is the spread across the bottom of the game window. So the game window is split into, I'd say, probably a quarter for the UI, and then the rest of the 3/4 is the game window. So pretty big. And then at the bottom there, you've got your score, the number of bombs you've got, the number of lives you've got, and the number of lives your other players got if you're playing it 2-player, and the bombs they've got. So it's just kind of all in one UI. Nice and neat. This is all in one load, by the way, which is something that New Zealand Story wasn't. So that's quite interesting that they've crammed all the levels into a single load, which is nice. And the levels are pretty big. Now, the way it works is like any sort of platformer, but this is kind of multi-directional platforming. So it's not Mario-like where you just go left to right. On this, you kind of have to go up and across and sometimes back on yourself and you navigate. Now, I hate to say it, but it reminded me a little bit of the kind of Ocean-style platform games, only this is actually kind of doing it right. So that's the only comparison I would draw, is that it's multi-directional platform exploration, really. So you'll hop about on the platforms. There's obviously in the first level, you're in France, so there's frogs and snails and things like that, which is a bit cheesy, but all right. But there's a fairly plain background in there, although as you progress, you'll get to the Eiffel Tower and there's a few other nice details. And then obviously you get to the end of that. Then you have to fight Quasimodo, which did make me laugh stupidly. And he's basically climbing up and down. You've got to shoot it. So it plays out like that kind of game. You've got to just work your way through. You pick extra objects up along the way, which will give you sort of extra energy. If you hit too many times, you will get killed. You will lose a life. And so you've got to watch out for that. That's how this game plays. It's not rocket science, this. This is, we're talking about tried and tested formula. This is a formula. Get your character to the end of the level, navigate the platforms. There's platforms that go up and down. There's platforms that are spread out, so you have to jump across and navigate them. There's objects that are going to get in your way. It's just one of those. There's a nicely animated CJ character. The elephant is quite cute. He shoots out of his trunk. I'm guessing they're peanuts, I think, but he shoots out of his trunk.
Yes. Yeah, it's peanuts, yeah.
And then, of course, you can, when you get them, throw bombs, and that can, obviously, you can use that to drop bombs on enemies and shoot. So you can only shoot directly out of his nose, as it were, his trunk. So straight forward, left and right. But if you've got bombs, you can drop them and sort of and angle them a bit. And so there's things that are below you that are going to get in your way. And then, of course, when you jump down off platforms, he holds out his umbrella and you can float, and you can control it when you float, which is a nice mechanic for this kind of game. So part of the game is understanding how you can control the draft and the floatiness of said elephant. Now, remember, this is all in £3, right? All this game is in £3. When you first start the game, by the way, there's an intro sequence to this as well, which completely blew my mind. And it's a really good intro sequence as well. So there's really nice graphics on a giant aeroplane view that's zooming through the sky, and then you go inside the aeroplane and there's stuff happening. It's pretty damn good. Then things start to shake and shimmy, and the crate falls open. He jumps out the aeroplane and floats down, and it's really good. For a budget game, I was like, wow, this is clearly been a game that's been designed not for budget, and then it's obviously just thought, well, I'd rather it came out than it didn't, so here we go. So all the positives then. Graphics on the elephant and all the enemies are all pretty good. They're in Commodore medium res, and some of the backgrounds, although the graphics are all pretty good in the way that they are, because it's kind of constructed out of tile blocks, so it's sort of, and it looks a bit obviously like that. So there's a little bit of lack of shading on some of the items. This isn't a Flimbo's Quest type shading, but there's a decent game in here, and it obviously is very much in the mold of the New Zealand Story, and it kind of plays out like that. When you control your little elephant character, like I said, you make your way through all the levels, and when you do get to the final level and you get the boss and you fight them, after that you'll go to a bonus level for each of the individuals, and all the bonus levels are themed like the level you were in. So Paris has kind of got Parisian like skylines and things like that. When you go to I think it's Switzerland, isn't it? So you go to Switzerland, and then it's all frozen in Switzerland and there's snow. And then when you get to the bonus level, you're on a little push bike, and it's a bit like a sort of a budget version of Kickstarter, although I know that was budget, but it's a bit like a Kickstarter or Kickstart. So you've got to run along, jump over the little jumps, avoid the little spikes which are on the ground, which are the same as the ones that are in the game. So there's traps and things that you've already learned to avoid. Collecting balloons as you go on. The balloons mean more points. So as you fly, you're collecting more balloons and you get more bonus points. And then when you do that, you'll transport and you're at the beginning of the next level, which I think is Switzerland now.
Yeah, it's the snow level, yeah.
Yeah. Did I write I can't remember if I wrote down the sequence of levels, but it is France, Switzerland. I didn't, but I'm going to find that.
I think it's Egypt, and then...
Egypt, and then there's another one.
Yeah, it's one with like huts and...
Yeah. Africa. I think you end up in Africa, don't you?
Yeah, Africa and stuff, yeah, I think, yeah.
So like I said, you control the characters you make around the platforms, defeat the bosses. Graphics are bold. I thought I like the style of this. Now this is bold graphics, but not horribly bold graphics. You know, we've seen games that try this kind of cartoon style. And don't pull it off so well. Melbourne House games had a knack of doing that, making everything look really blocky and horrible. But they don't in this. It kind of works. The backgrounds are decent enough. The scrolling is really fine. The scrolling in every direction is smooth. There's no issues. There are no bugs in this game that I found. It was quite responsive. When you're jumping around, the collision was perfectly fine. Collision on the platforms, all good. You didn't jump and get pushed off things. You didn't jump and get nudged off things. You could land and sort of try and navigate things around. And if you jumped down with your umbrella was automatic. I didn't have to think about pressing a button or a space bar or something stupid to do it. Like I said, maybe, this isn't Flimbo's Quest level of graphic detail, of course, but what there is here works really nicely for this. Runs great. Sorry, all the characters that you meet and everybody else, really funny, quirky little characters. There's all sorts in this. Considering this is a budget game, there's tons in it. So frogs, ducks, geese, all sorts of stuff. And as you progress through the game, there's more of them and obviously difficult to navigate places, and it's very standard platform in that way, but at the same time, quite nice fun. The music on the title screen, and I thought in the game was good. Like I said, it was very Hubbard-like, especially the in-game, but it worked really well. I think I missed sound effects, but I could live without them as well. I think these kind of games kind of live on their sound effects a little bit. I say that. One of the other games we're playing for this episode had the most annoying sound effects imaginable. but you know what? I think sometimes these kind of games, you need a boink sound. I know it sounds stupid, maybe not an obtrusive one, but you do need kind of you need sounds. I think, but it's still okay for budget. It's okay. So, I mean, there's not a great deal more I can say about the actual games other than this is a simple idea done really well. Now, how many times have we said throughout the whole 75 episodes of this podcast, we've said many times, if you take a simple idea and you do it well, it's always going to win because you can iterate over that and you can make complexity just being more of the same thing as long as it's the loop and the core of the game is good. And that's what you've got here. A really nice idea with some real panache here and there, really good scrolling. The attention to detail and things that matter is here. And we've seen so many rubbish full price games that this is a real treat. I think this is easily one of the best types of this game on the platform. This is the equal to any of the Rainbow Islands, or so maybe not so much Rainbow Islands, I don't know, but those kind of games. I would say I'd put this on a footing with some of those, at least in terms of playability. Maybe not all the look and feel, but remember, this is £3. So what do you end up with, really? Well, it's fun. It's a bit silly. A nice, simple premise. Controls are easy. You're straight into it as well. It takes, once it's loaded, you're in. Fire button in. No hanging about. There's nice little interstitials here and there, but nothing too onerous. Really nice bold colours. Really nice little animations. Cute little characters. A fun premise that's easy to understand. This is a really, really, really good game. It's really refreshing to see a good game like this on the C64. Playing to the machine's bloody strengths. This is just exploiting what the C64 is good at. Lots of sprites moving around on a straightforward background that scrolls about. Why haven't we seen so many more of these at this quality? I just don't get it. So this is nice. This is a really nice game. I really enjoyed playing it. For once, I would happily say, if you haven't experienced it, which you may have done, but if you haven't, go and try it because it's really good. And I really, really enjoyed it. What a really great budget game this is in this late day of the C64, really teaching some of these big companies, Ocean, that there's more to the machine than just throwing 3 weeks of development at it. Give people a bit more time and a bit more, nous. Look what they come up with. So I really, really like this. I think it's a really, really welcome addition to this particular type of game on the C64. But what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to admit, it is hard. It's a hard game as well, isn't it? But it's easily one of the best platformers we've seen on the C64.
Yeah,
easily,
absolutely.
It's up there with the top stuff, and that comes down to a few things. The controls are great. They're responsive and tight, which you're gonna need. So It's a nice, simple control system: left and right, fire to shoot, up to jump, and down to throw your bombs. And they're all responsive and they all work well. You can control where you move when you jump, which is great. And that umbrella for falling is just great, because it just pops out immediately and you can control your angle as you're going down and where you're going, and it works really well. All of this works really well. Being able to bounce those bombs down to the lower levels to take out the enemies down there, all great. And you need it because the level design is tricky. And it's tricky. There's spikes will get you where you think, I knew there'd be spikes there, but I just trusted the spikes. And then you lose a little life. You get a lot of lives. So it's not that you get 9 lives, and I think you get more as well. And, this is try and get through the 4 levels. And like you said, there's a lot of content here. 4 decent sized levels, 4 bosses, interstitial bonus levels on your bike, a really good intro, and a really nice outro as well. When you actually complete it, when you finish it, I had a look on YouTube at the end. There's like you sort of get home to all the other elephants, and they're all waiting for you, and it's all a nice cutesy sort of platformer. I don't know if we've actually seen anything like this, but bar New Zealand story, which obviously, we'll come to, but we've been to, but I'll talk about it in a minute. But this just shows what budget games, they really take some beating when people with genuine talent come along and just make something like this. Now, talking about genuine talent, Ashley Hogg and Dave Clark, the guys worked on this. Ashley Hogg, especially, I just looked at on Moby. I mean, he's still working in the industry, and he's got credits on things like City Skylines 2, Forza Horizon 2, Gang Beasts. What is it? I think it's Ori and the Blind Forest in there as well. Loads of stuff. So he's still working in stuff. Dave. I think Dave Clark, he stopped working about 2000, but he had some good credits as well. These are obviously talented game design people who just came along,
about that.
Like we saw with what's his face, Gavin, Rayburn, because he went on and worked on the people who made Forza and stuff. The intro is great.
Yeah, totally.
Seeing CJ escape the plane, really nice.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
This is the kind of thing I was hoping for in 1991.
Yes,
these kind of unusual and unexpected gems.
1,000,000%, yes.
Yeah, and even though it's rock hard, it's a pleasure to play. I had loads of fun playing this. I played this quite a while. Great music, like I said. Yeah, could have done with some sound effects, but I can give and take. Great visuals. I thought the visuals were really good. Presentation. This wouldn't look out of place in a console game at the time.
No, absolutely not.
It reminded me of some of the better NES games in their fluidity of its controls and things like that. This feels like a console game almost.
I think it's very, very. I think it's based on that kind of make it it's like a NES game, isn't it? Really, I think. Yeah,
and you can see it. I mean, you can see, even though you can see its New Zealand story roots, because the story is that they put it to one side, didn't they, to go work on something else, and came back to this, I think, with the other game, or they were working on something. I'm just so glad they revisited this and made it into a full game, and it leads into a load of other games they do as well. It's about 3 or 4. Loads of great touches as the levels progress. Funny enemies, I thought. The Hunchback, Quasimodo sort of thing made me laugh as well. But again, that boss fight is actually quite nice because it's not too hard. You're just bouncing up and down the platform, shooting it and going up and down. Yeah, he's climbing up a rope and you're jumping around trying to shoot him.
You're given a chance.
Yeah, it just hammer you.
Yeah.
And the bonus levels is just the icing on a very enjoyable budget cake. This is really good. What a surprise. What a pleasant one. And compared to some of the crap we're about to see in the rest of this episode, this is a great way to start April. I was like, yes.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So, I can only say, well done. If they listen to it, they probably don't, but well done all. Great platformer. Perhaps, I have to say, this might have just supplanted everything else and become my favourite platformer on the system.
Yeah, it's up there, isn't it? Which is incredible when you think about it. When you think of the talent and the sort of level at the top of that particular tree, you're talking sort of some seriously good games up there. Like Flimbo's Quest being amongst them and things like that. And this
Guyana
is easily up there with
Rainbow Islands, New Zealand Story was good. These are all good platformers, but this was great. This is really good because it was so unexpected.
And cheap.
And
value
cheap,
for money.
£3.
Huge value for money. My God.
Yeah. If you were on a budget back in 1991 and you bought this, you'd be well happy.
Absolutely would. And the tragedy is, of course, that we know that this won't be number 1 in the charts. It might get to the top 10, but it won't be number 1 because that'll be other games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all that.
Yeah. Shame, really. Anyway, there we go. CJ's Elephant Antics. Yep. Very, very good.
Really good. Really good.
Go have a play. Let's move on because we've still got one more game in this section, and I'm sure it'll be just as good. And that game, of course, and you've probably seen this coming. We've heard rumor of this. We've heard dark tales of this. This is Dick Tracy. Oh God. I'm not sure if this is going to go on for ages or it's not going to take long at all. I can't tell. Who knows with this one? Because maybe about as long as it took me to complete the game, about 5 minutes. Literally 5
It's
minutes.
so-
I put this on 5 minutes later. I saw the end screen, from initial screen to the end of the 60th level, packed with red hot action, according to the box. 60 levels this has got, Graham.
No, and that's what. But it's you know what? They're trying to sell it, aren't they? They're trying to. It's
sell it. Yeah.
No, don't get me started.
Anyway, so this is Dick Tracy, the game of the film. It's £10.99. You too, for that price, you too can enjoy the pulse-pounding thrills of the action hit, or not. You see, this is from Titus. The last time we saw them was in the other pulse-pounding splendor, the heart-rending splendor that was Wild Streets, the winner of our covetous Worst Game of the Year award for 1990. And not content with using, I hate to use the word, not content with using the engine from that game for that piece of crap, they've wheeled it out again for this. I can only assume this is the Wild Streets thing, because it's got to. It looks as it is what it is, and the results is just as good or as bad as you would expect, or maybe even worse. Just who the hell is this Richard Tracy character? Who is he? And why the hell would I want to play him in a game? So I went having a look, because I didn't know much about Dick Tracy. According to the wiki, Dick Tracy is an American comic strip featuring Dick Tracy, a tough and intelligent police detective who's created by Chester Gould. Made its debut on Sunday, October the 4th, 1931. It's nearly 100 years old. It's crazy. It was in the Detroit Mirror and was distributed by the Chicago Tribune New York News Syndicate. Gold wrote and drew the strip until 1977, and various artists and writers have continued it. Dick Tracy has also been the hero in a number of films, including Dick Tracy, in which Warren Beatty played the lead. Tom DeHaven praised Gould's Dick Tracy as an outrageously funny American Gothic, while Brian Walker described it as a ghoulishly entertaining creation, which had gripping stories filled with violence and pathos. That sounds quite good, doesn't it? That sounds like the kind of thing that would make a great recipe for a game. You could do something good with that, couldn't you? Maybe. But this is obviously based on the recently released back then film. That film starred Warren Beatty, who also directed and produced it alongside Madonna, Al Pacino, Dustin Hoffman. Even Dick Van Dyke was in it.
I suppose he had to be, really.
Everyone was in it. Early in the development of Dick Tracy, just to sort of go on about, Beatty decided to make the film using a palette limited to just 7 colours, primarily red, green, blue and yellow, to evoke the film's comic strip origins. Now that to me sounds like a perfect fit for the C64. Not too much shading needed. Just got block colours. So what could go wrong? Quite a lot. This was coded by Don French, and I could not find any credits for anything else from him anywhere. Nothing on Moby, nothing on Lemon, nothing. I mean, I can only say with good cause, really. The music is by Marcus Schneider, who, according to Lemon, has worked on loads of games, both a coder and a musician, but we've never seen any of them, so I don't think they've made it over to the UK and into the pages of Zap. He worked as a coder on, what was that one with the 30-odd minute piece of music, Galdrigo's Domain? Is that what's it called? Is it the big... He worked on that. He didn't do the music, but he was a coder on it. So that's the kind of stuff that he was doing, those kind of, I think, sort of European games that didn't make it over here. There's loads. He's listed in about 20 games on Lemon. But anyway, when the game loads, we get that Titus logo, and this game's been made with copyright Disney, and then we get the only decent thing in this entire thing, which is a decent silhouette of the Dick Tracy logo, that kind of yellow and black, and that's actually all. Yeah, that's all right. That bit was okay, because you can't go wrong. But whoever's drawn that, like, yes, okay, that looks like the Dick Tracy sort of iconic thing. I can get around. Okay, so that's fine. All right, then that disappears, and and there's a message at the bottom saying he's on his way. Like, weird. Where's he going? Shops.
Why?
Why? Then we get the name Dick Tracy spelled out very slowly in bullet holes, which you can't skip. Then there's like a panicky bit of music plays over some demo style text to tell us the game is loading.
That was really weird, that screen.
I don't know. Was that part of the crack? Was that in the game? I don't know.
It didn't look like it belonged.
No, it didn't. Then we wait, and when the game finally loads, it's Wild Streets all over again, bar the random wanderings of a panther. So we don't even have the enjoyable notion of watching a panther wander about in this game. The game itself, because I found some sort of credits for it and things, it actually came like with this sort of fold-out newspaper that outlined the main villains of the game. Nice bit of extra packaging, really, and sort of gave you the instructions and everything. Also, has all the instructions of the game. They're wrong. Yeah. The instructions in there are wrong. It says you can do stuff that you can't. I'll tell you why in a bit.
About right.
And the back of the box there's a big long. The thing is that the paper that you get doesn't tell you anything about the game in and of itself. It just tells that this character, I think it's Madonna's character, has been kidnapped, but the back of the box doesn't mention this. So the back of the box says this: this time they're out to get him. Retrace the steps of Dick Tracy, the world-famous comic strip detective, in the superb computer conversion of the blockbuster movie. Grab that famous hat and coat and hit the streets in search of Big Boy Caprice and his gang. Big Boy, Flat Top, Prune Face and the Brow are at the Ritz planning their next assault on the city. Dick Tracy arrives at the Ritz only to find the gang has made a break for it. Track down the ugly mobsters to their various hideouts and brace yourself for the fight of your life. Now, that's what it says on the back of the box. But I thought the plot of this, going by the thing, was that the singer had been kidnapped and you got to go rescue her. I think Madonna's character.
I did rewatch the film way back, and it was that incoherent anyway. Yeah.
And that's what it says in the Zapped review as well. So according to there's some bullet points at the bottom as here, and I'm just going to read these as well, because it says that this is an accurate film scenario. I don't know what that means.
Is it now?
True film and comic strip colouring. This one will make you laugh. Super smooth animation.
Whatever. Come on, these are just blatant out and out lies.
60 levels of red hot action. 60 levels. Excellent musical soundtrack and superb scenery, including the downtown streets, the Ritz, Prune Face's favourite jeweller, and the city rooftops. And then lucky old USA, it then says to the right of this, not for sale or use in the USA. They dodged a bullet. All of this is meaningless. All of this is meaningless, though, when faced with the naked horror of the game in the flesh itself. So this is a left-to-right flick-screen walking simulator where you hold your hand out to make enemies disappear and at times shoot bullets that may hit people or may not. There's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. The screen is split, UI at the bottom, and the present level. Yeah, because this counts every single screen as a level. Those 60 levels it promises, that's the number of screens. So 60 levels of red hot action, the game only has 5 levels, 12 screens to cross in each of them. 5 times 12, 60. That's what that's that blatant, bit of I don't know what the word is, lying.
Yeah, lies is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, taking at the most part. The UI's got a timer counting down in the bottom left. It's very fast. There's a shit-looking watch. There's an image of your fist, a pistol, and a machine gun. Your health bar, which is just a grey block. There's your score for some reason, and then the Dick Tracy silhouette, miniaturized and made crap. You walk from left to right. You pull down to crouch. Supposedly, you could jump or fire upwards and do some things. You can also supposedly press return at all times, according to the instructions, to change weapons, but only from the second set of 12 levels. So the second level proper. Does that work? Or the first set of 12 levels, you just hold your hand up by pressing fire, and this disintegrates enemies. You just hold it up and they walk into your hand and just disappear. I don't know, because it says in the instructions you can engage in hand-to-hand combat. I think all this is for the Amiga version, where I think these things may be happening, but in the C64 version, everything has been excised. Everything. There's nothing. The backdrops are dull, brown brick or shit buildings. The sprites are blocky monstrosities that wobble across the screen at you. When you reach the right of the screen, the game flicks to the next level. You level in inverted commas. And when you get to the end of the 12th, you get a cutscene of some people in blue escorting someone else off screen in blue. And I don't know why or where they're going or anything. Doesn't explain anything. It just happens. And then the next 12 levels load in and you do the same. Only this time you've now got a gun. At first, I think on level 2, sequence 2, you have a pistol. And then after that, you get a few shots with the machine gun as well. But you can shoot them. The bullets don't always hit the enemy in front of you. And you have to then shoot them again. Sometimes they do. The background in the second level is mostly yellow. So that means Dick, who is also in yellow, disappears into the background.
It does.
So you float in head and hand and pants. There are 3 more sets of 12 levels to get through, so there's 5 in total. And then between each one, you get this blurry newspaper image, which is supposed to tell you something about the story, but it doesn't because you can't read it. There's no text, just an image, and it's ugly and horrible. And at the end of each one, the guys in blue walk off. And then at the end of the last level, the guys in blue walk off again. And then it loads in an image of New York and a bridge and some music. And then the whole thing just starts again. It's just dreadful. The sprite work in this would look rough in 1983. And even though I don't rate the gameplay in the Ocean games, all their recent games really show what an utter turd this is from a visual point of view. The one thing we've said about the Ocean games mostly is that they look good. So even things like Untouchables, Batman, Navy SEALs, Total Recall, they do look good. There's obviously, they've got good artists in. This is just dreadful. Blocky, badly animated, and ill-defined nightmares shuffle about whilst ill-defined backdrops haunt your vision. The music is a series of jaunty tunes that supposedly are okay, burble along in a non-offensive way, but they're not particularly great. But they're the worst of your worries with this shit. But the whole thing is a shambles. And like I said, I completed this in my first go in 5 minutes. 60 levels in 5 minutes. A level every 5 seconds or so. You just got to walk across screen exactly like Wild Streets. Wild Streets was bad enough. To go and use the template from that for this is just unbelievable. I don't know what they were thinking. This is a pile of arse on every front. And surely the book is hot favourite for licensed catastrophe or worst game of the year. This made me want to play things like The Untouchables, Total Recall, hell, even Teenage Hero Mutant Turtles again from last week. Any of those were better than this, and we didn't particularly like any of them. But this is on another level of awfulness. This is so bad, it's barely a game. This is one of the worst things I've seen on the machine. 11% it got. I think that's being generously kind. This is Robobolt levels of badness. This is utter garbage. I'd have rather preferred Alice's Adventures in Videoland, where it didn't work. This is another turd that genuinely shocked me. I was not expecting. I'd heard rumblings that the Dick Tracy game was bad, and I thought, well, okay, remember that? But this makes that Inspector Gadget one. Remember that?
Yeah.
You know, that this makes that look decent. This is because at least the Inspector Gadget sprite looked like Inspector Gadget to some degree. This just looked awful, just a dreadful thing. I can't believe that after CJ's Antics showing what you can do with £3 to charge £11 for this piece of crap. Oh, awful. I'm going to expect you to think the same. What did you think?
It's just crap. I don't understand why you would release this and consider this a product that's in any way, shape, or form a purchasable thing that, you know, people are. You're going to charge people $10.99 for this. I mean, there is no way that any person can look at, a developer or anybody can look at this and consider this releasable. I'm sorry, but it's not. It's not finished. I've seen more complete product demos.
Yeah,
than this.
I've seen better things from my students in their first term.
I think anyone would do better than this, really. There is nothing on this that, I mean, I thought when I first started, I thought it was a joke. I thought, this is a joke, right? This cannot be this game. This has got to be some kind of joke. I mean, I was absolutely flabbergasted. I think it is the worst thing I've ever seen in all the time we've done this podcast, and we've seen some real stinkers. This is in the league of special. This is the special league of games.
Yeah, this is Lee Enfield, isn't it?
This is in that very elite group. It is absolutely derisory. There's nothing I can say about this that is any way, shape, or form pleasant. It's ugly to look at, horrible to play. There's nothing. It's not. I don't think it's anywhere near finished. I don't think anyone could. I mean, you talk about making a comic style game. Just look at Batman, that Batman comic style game we had, or Dan Dare. Or any of those. I mean, I know we didn't like them as much, but the Spider-Man one or the other superhero ones, the Superman game and a few of those others, you know.
Dr. Doom one and stuff.
Yeah, they were comic book adaptations and adaptations. So, to also have not just a comic book, but to have all of the other Dick Tracy stuff and a movie to fall back on. And this is what you turn out. I mean, it's so bad. I mean, I'm looking at a screen of it right now with its brown walls and its bright yellow Dick Tracy and a clock that is badly broken. I mean, there's parts of the Dick Tracy film, as much as I didn't necessarily like the film, was a bit odd, but there are the way it looks and there's certain aspects of the steps they took to make that film the way it was that are actually pretty interesting when you look back. I mean, it's not because parts of it aren't very coherent, but there's a lot of big actors in there under a lot of makeup and the actual colorization is quite unique. I mean, they used less colors. I mean, that's what blows my mind is that, you know, they purposefully use less colors. So on this game, you've already been given the remit to use less colors. To turn this out is abomination. This is just horrible. And it's a rip-off. And we've said it many times before, but these guys are famous for it, aren't they? I mean, goodness me, that other one that was so bad. This is an easy contender for the worst game I think I've ever seen on this platform. It is so shockingly bad. I hesitate to even use the word game because I don't believe there's a game here. If you look over at the Amiga version, they were also responsible for the Amiga version, which is equally as crap. I mean, the Amiga version is utterly, utterly, utterly awful. The only thing is it's high fidelity awful. It's just these people, whomever they are responsible for this, we're not ready for game making. This isn't for them. This isn't, and we all have our limitations. I totally get that. We can't all be good at things. They might be really, really good at doing other stuff. But you know what? Somebody should have come along at some point and stopped this game in its tracks and said, this cannot be released. The fact that this got to a duplicating place and it was put out and duplicated, they must have been laughing all the way to the bank when people were buying this thinking, well, there's enough suckers out there for us to get a little bit of money back. Scumbags to release this. It's awful. I hated it, and it's so bad. It should be erased. Don't play this. There's nothing to play. It's just don't do it. Just walk away. Walk away from this one.
Yeah,
walk away.
Absolutely. Take your gasoline and bugger off elsewhere.
It's just so bad. I'm with you on this. This is a contender for the worst game we've ever seen, but certainly it's the worst game of this year so far by miles. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be something. If there's anything worse than this, God help us.
Yeah. Pray for our souls. Pray for Mojo.
So bad. So utterly devoid of anything that. So bad. People who made that and released it should be ashamed of themselves to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just think, I'd prefer to play Line of Fire than this.
I know. Can you believe, though? I mean, at some point, this must have been shown to the people that the licensees, the people who own the Dick Tracy license, and they must have given it the green light. They probably just thought, oh, no one's gonna see it.
C64's a dead platform at this point. Who cares?
Yeah,
and I think that's how the thought was.
Yeah,
no, I don't think they saw it. I don't think they ever saw it.
Nope.
Anyway, there we go. That's a more contrasting part I don't think I've ever seen.
I know, and therein lies what we said right at the start, didn't we?
Yeah,
they're either really good or
they'll stand out games. Yeah,
yep.
They're up there and they're down there. Right, okay, that's it for this part. We're going to go away, take a quick break, and we'll come back and we will have the music from April 1991. So please do stay with us. And we're back. We've got the music, the singles, the albums from April 1991.
Oh, my.
Indeed. The number one singles start off with, for the first 3 weeks of the month, it was The One and Only by Chesney Hawkes.
So that's still hanging around like someone's opened an egg sandwich in a lift.
That's the review they were looking for.
That would have been my review at the time.
Roger Daltrey agreed to be in this film. If someone reviews us like a egg sandwich in a lift, we've made
I'll say
big time.
this, right? It's not a terrible song in of itself. It's catchy enough, and it's all right. It's catchy enough, but for 3 weeks on the bounce, and this was getting a lot of airplay at the time. By the end of that, everyone was hoping, praying that it was going to be his one and only because we were sick of hearing from him.
Yeah, turns out it was, and he's made a career out of it though. It's like Alan Jones, isn't he? He's just made a career out of the Snowman. Well,
he's a successful radio presenter and singer and performer, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Oh, well.
Raymond Briggs, maybe. I know, he was a successful author and artist.
What's his face? Who did Shut Up Your Face? Him.
Him, yeah. Joe
DeMolcio.
Joe to something, wasn't it? Yeah. Joe de Cliche, that was it.
Him. That one. Anyway, it's all movie songs, isn't it? It's all movie songs this week.
Yeah, it does seem to be.
Because removing that from the top spot was the Shoop Shoop song, It's in His Kiss by Cher.
It worries me, Adrian. This song is actually called It's in His Kiss. It was written and composed by Rudy Clark and performed in 1963 and 64 by Mary Clayton and Betty Everett. It's an old classic old song, and you can kind of tell right from the... However, it's called It's in Its Kiss. They've called it the Shoop Shoop song because stupid idiots in the 90s thought, what's that song where they go shoop shoop in that movie? Because it's from the movie Mermaids, isn't it? Singing. That's why they've put the it's not called the Shoop Shoop song. It's called It's in His Kiss. It annoys me.
All right. I didn't realise that. I'd never known that. I assumed this was a cover of an old song, but I thought it'd always been called that.
Just because the background singers and the backing singers go shoop, shoop, shoop. Don't have to don't.
But it's from Mermaids with Bob Hoskins, Cher, and Winona Ryder, I believe.
Yes, that sounds about right.
Yep. Yeah, number one album, there was one all month. It was the Eurythmics with their greatest hits.
Yeah, I had a quick look at the track listing for that, and you can see why. It's really good, solid. Yeah, it's like you look at the hits, you're like, yes, that's good. That's a good one. That good. Yep, good. It's really good. It's almost like Queen's Platinum, whatever it was called, the greatest hits one. It's like that. It's like their version of that. It's such a good album.
Yeah, I bought ABBA's Greatest Hits Volume 2 recently, and that's the same. It's like every ABBA track you like, it's like, oh, all of them. You're like, oh, every hit is...
I don't really like any ABBA tracks, but
I love them.
That, yeah. This is a newfound like for you, because you never mentioned liking ABBA for 40 years, and then suddenly out the blue you mention it.
I've got into them loads recently. What can I say?
It's just crazy. I'm not disputing it. It's a very successful band. I've got nothing against that, but it's not my scene. but not my thing.
Appreciative of Benny, what's his face's Benny Hill's writing.
Yeah, Benny. I totally get it. They're not my jam, but no denying the songs are great songs and everything else.
Yeah.
No, I would never say they were a bad thing. They're just not my thing. But it just surprised me. You've gone full Metallica loop. You've gone from Metallica Rush to ABBA. I'm like, what's going on?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I sense a strange influence over you.
No influence. I think it's just a case of like my brother was always dead into him, so it was like I think I fought it off because my brother was into them, and I couldn't be what my brother was into.
Your brother was heavily into Tina Turner, and I don't see you queuing to get Tina Turner albums.
I appreciate some good Tina Turner songs these days.
What is going on? And you're an influencer droid is on your head.
It's the Hypnotoad.
Exactly.
Or the brain slug.
This is what happens to goths as they start to get a little bit older in life. They start to like ABBA.
ABBA are quite gothy. They're really dark.
Right, that's it. Lyrically. Check that influencer droid off. Unplug it. Whatever it is. No one in the history of ABBA has ever described them as quite gothy.
They are. Their lyrics are really dark. Anywho, singles, 7th of April. In at number 6, The Size of a Cow by the Wonder Stuff.
# Gulliver's Gold.
Indeed, won't be the first, only one we say this week. It's all right, isn't it? It's all right.
Yeah. I had a mate who was well into the Wonder Stuff. I mean, like, I don't know what genre they are, but he was into it.
Krusty Grebo, I think.
Yeah, Grebo. Is that Grebo? Grusty. Grusty.
Yeah, proper Grusty. You need some of that sort of metallic scrubbing powder to get this off.
Yeah, a bit of scouring powder, yeah. It's a bit twiddly diddly for me, but it's fun nonetheless, and it's enjoyable. It's a silly but fun song, and the video is quite interesting. So,
yeah. Number 32 is Rock the Casbah, 1991 by The Clash.
Re-released because of
don't know, was it on an advert?
I think I have a feeling that there's a best of album somewhere in the midst somewhere, and it's probably because of that.
Well, because they had, didn't they? They had Should I Stay or Should I Go on the advert, which would probably have inspired the record company to go, quick, put a best of together.
Yep.
Won't surprise me. Number 33 is Sing Your Life by Morrissey.
I've never been a Morrissey fan, and I never will be. I've never forgiven him for the death of Kirk's boy.
You haven't as well. No. You always bring it up. You brought it up last time we saw him as well. He said, I have no idea what you're on about.
Yes, Murray do, I think. No, I'm not interested. I'm not into it. I've never been. Never got into it. I know people that were, and I once actually not supported. We were actually supported by a Mexican Morrissey tribute act. Very bizarre story, which I won't go into right now. When I was in a band, but I still haven't got into Morrissey, and it's just not my thing.
And this is a Morrissey song by numbers, and it's everything you expect in a Morrissey song.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
And at number 35, one for you, this Undercover Anarchist by Silvah Bullet, or Silvah Bullet, as they like.
It's really powerful, great British rap. But I think a little bit underappreciated. I think in the right circles, not so, but in many circles, actually so. I think, and Brown Sauce would potentially correct me on this, but I may be, but I think he's probably considered one of the greatest British rap acts. Certainly amazing. It's Silvah Bullet, so it's very powerful, fast talking. He's a really speedy, crazy rapper, but I think there's something just undeniably British about the whole thing, and I quite like that about it. And it's nice to see. So good. Yeah,
I prefer the last one we heard, which was 20 Seconds to Comply, was it?
Yeah, 20 Seconds to Comply and Bring Forth the Guillotine.
Bring Forth the Guillotine. I preferred those two to this, so this is not really my cup of chow, but appreciate the vibe. I thought it had a good beat.
Yeah, and underneath it all, I mean, you can go on whosampled.com at some point and check it, but the album that this is from and these tracks have got so many amazing use of subtle little film samples and sound samples and stuff. They're a smorgasbord of crazy sample usage, so worth going and checking it out when you get a minute.
Number 38 is I Just Wanna Be With You by Transvision Vamp.
This was a poor song, really.
Yeah.
I felt it was desperately trying to cash in on a sound of that time, a sound that was becoming of that time, actually. So way less shouty than the other songs that she'd done, because they're all, I don't care, and all that kind of thing. This was more floaty and twee, very same sentiment though. She still basically every song she's ever written is don't give a shit, don't understand, don't want to know. I get the impression she just she's not into something.
She doesn't know a lot.
But very exploitative. She doesn't. Very exploitative video, though, of its time. Exploitative. So, Q riding around with lots of funny filters on the light bulbs and possibly being squirted with a water pistol every now and again kind of thing.
Yeah, true. It's not very good. It's a bit dull. Dull song.
Yeah.
Dull.
Transvision Vamp without the bite, I think.
Yes, that's a good pithy review.
That would have been my review at the time.
Yeah, that's a good pithy review, that one, yeah. Number 39 is Sinful, a scary jiggin with Dr. Love by Pete Wylie And The Farm.
Just get lost, whatever that is.
It's crap, innit? Yeah, forgettable baggy ass.
It is baggy, isn't it? Is that The Farm? The group The Farm?
Yeah.
Or is that Pete Wylie and The Farm, as in it was a farm animals and other things joining the fun?
I don't know. It could be old McDonald's for all I know, sort of thing. All I know is it was rubbish.
It was baggy ass. There's no argument there.
Yeah. So, carrying on in the same mould, at number 48 is Here I Stand by the Milltown Brothers. Who are these?
Yeah.
Who are they?
You've not met them before. So many of these bands are starting to appear, right? I mean, record companies in free fall signing up anyone that sounds remotely like it. So to me, they sounded and looked a bit like a discount version of the Lars, but on helium.
Little Lars, Aldi Lars.
The Aldi Lars, yeah, they are the Aldi Lars, and it just doesn't sound very good or look very good. It's not a good look.
No, it's not. When he kept looking at the camera in the video, I was like, "Oh, stop looking."
They could have called them the La-Las, couldn't they? I think the Relars, the La-Las.
From La La Land. Oh, Jesus. I've never heard of him. I was like, look, who's the Milltown Brothers?
No.
I thought I knew most of the bands in this kind of genre and like I heard, but God, who are these?
It's funny, when I first watched the video, of which is nondescript and dreary, apart from lots of heavy fringe, which is a bit of a theme. I was thinking, I thought my instinct was oh, you would know this one because you was into that. And as it progressed, I was like, he doesn't know this one because nobody does. Who are these people?
They don't exist. I believe someone went back in time with AI, just AI generated a sort of a large style band.
And there's a lot of that in this episode, isn't there? In this particular, there's a few AI related. It looks like someone's time traveled and AI'd things. And goodness me, it's true.
It won't surprise me. We've already discussed it one, but it came in at number 58 this week. The Shoop Shoop song, "It's in His Kiss" by Cher. It's in his kiss.
It's in his kiss.
Title.
Yeah, don't give it the shoop shoop bit. That's for the idiots.
14th of April, in at number 38 was "The Long Train Running" by Bananarama.
Oh, they just don't know what to do with these, do they?
Just keep pumping out songs.
Well, the thing is, this one, I mean, it's a cover for a start, which is their kind of MO, isn't it? So
how
it's
much
another
banana
cover.
is left in the skin is what I ask about these at this point.
That's a question that has many answers. Not all of them good. This was by the Doobie Brothers originally, and it was included on their album Captain Me, but that's back in 1973. So they've done what Bananarama do, go back in time, check out which track they could probably sing, do an effective 3-girl karaoke to, which is kind of what they've could become. And then they layer it with like Italio house type sounds and thumpy beats. And then they just sing in non-unison. They just sing in unison, but they sing in non-harmony, do they? They just all sing the same. So it's like 3 women doing karaoke. Now, it was successful in the 80s because it had a bit of disco-y thump. This is just tragic. So, no. The Trio de Banan, as they would be known in Italy, that's the 3 bananas. So another cover, isn't it? Tacky pop karaoke, I think, isn't it? I think that's the best I could say. Naff and pointless. Yeah, like you say, not good.
Yeah, not very good. In at number 41 is Silent Lucidity by Queensryche.
And the winner of the most pompous sounding, pretentious sounding name for anything is?
It's the Fish Award. The Fish Award for pretension.
It is silent lucid. Let's just break it down. What does it even mean? To be lucid and have a lucid moment is to have an awakening, isn't it? A thought awakening, to be awake and alert, to be lucid. And then to have that in silence, well, all right. It just seems like that would happen anyway. But
can you imagine Archimedes getting in his bathtub and doing a silent lucidity? It'd be like, oh.
Is there an opposite? So is there a loud lucidity? Can you be loudly lucid?
Yeah, that's the guy getting in his bathtub and shouting out "Eureka!"
Well, you're not sleepy when you get in the bath. Maybe you are sleepy when you get in the bathtub and it wakes you up. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it's this.
I don't know.
Somewhere in the US, Extremes More Than Words has happened because that comes out in March, I believe. It comes out in March.
And also we'll see another big influence on this in the albums because Mr. Big is out and Be With You.
But this idea of this acoustic led ballad, we're going to see loads of them. We're going to have ballad salad because it's going to happen. And this is the beginning of ballad salad. And so, this acoustic guitars, it sounds like a Mexican. Acoustic guitars, here he is. Acoustic guitars start to filter in. Diddle ding, diddle ding, ding, diddle ding, ding. Ha ha ha. Get out of here. Get out of here. But the video in this is weird, isn't it? Because it's like, now we've said many times the chroma key is terrible. In this one, they forgot to put it in.
Which makes it does look better, though.
It kind of does. So I don't know. It's like you said, it is pretentious. It's missing its chroma key. The voice and the singer, though, they don't match. So when you see the singer and you see the voice, you hear the voice, you're like, that's not him. That did not come from him.
Yeah, it's a weird one. There are parts of this song that I do like. There's some bits of it that are okay. Then there's a weird bit midway through. It goes into some kind of weird talky bit, and it's like, what is happening? What's going on?
Silent lucidity. You felt it there.
Yeah, but I'm hearing him, so he's not silent.
No, you were feeling a moment of silent lucidity. That's what they have to explain it with sound, which is ironic, but that's the only way they can do it. They have to explain it in the most loud sound, which is the opposite of silent lucidity. But hey ho, there you go.
Fair play to fit in the actual word silent lucidity into a song structure. I'd
love to have been there when they explain that to the record exec and the A&R man. We're going to release this song. What's it called again? Silent what? Silent Lucy. All right, mucking out.
It comes from a band called Queensryche. No one batted an eyelid.
Yeah, true. I suppose. Yeah. God knows what the other tracks off that album are going to be called. We must look it up when it comes to it.
Should have a look. At number 48 is "You're So Vain," 1991 by Carly Simon.
A good song actually, that, but it's re-released as part of the Coming Around Again, Carly Simon's Greatest Hits album, which was, I think, standard issue to a lot of middle of England at a certain point, because wherever sometimes you'd be hearing that, and Coming Around Again especially did the rounds, didn't it? Itsy Bitsy Spider and all that nonsense.
Yeah. 21st of April, in at number 14 is "Get the Message" by Electronic.
I'd never dug Electronic at all. I know it's the sort of the sequel to New Order, as it were, but not for my cup of tea at all. I thought it was a jumble mass of sounds, and I don't like it.
No, I never liked Electronic. They got by on the fact that it was Bernard Sumner in it and Johnny Marr, so they'd sort of formed up. Smiths had imploded. Pretty much New Order had gone the way of the dodo after that last album. So these two formed up as a bit of like a sort of Brit indie sort of power pairing, shall we say?
Yeah.
And they turned into a load of old boring guff.
Well, they couldn't put the name together, could they? Sumnar sounds like a bloody character from bloody Thundercats.
well, Sumar, yeah, Sumar, Marner.
Sumar. So yeah, I wasn't digging it, and I didn't think the video was very good either. But it wasn't my scene.
And they couldn't call themselves S&M either.
I hope not.
Sumner and Marr, S&M. That won't go down too well.
Or would it?
Oh, well, it might have done, actually.
The first album would be called Whip Me, Beat Me, Treat Me Like an Egg. I write this stuff for them. I'm giving this stuff away to the Times, so the passages of time.
Beat Me Like an Egg.
Whip me, Beat Me, Treat Me Like an Egg by New Order. Or should I say by S&M?
By some S&M. Absolutely.
Very good.
I'd have bought that. In at number 15 is "Born Free" by Vic Reeves and the Roman Numerals.
This threw me, because, I mean, it's a testament to Vic Reeves' popularity that he just could release anything he liked. And he could have farted down a microphone for 3 minutes and people would have gone, that's brilliant, that is, bought it.
Yeah. The UK, still the home of the novelty.
Yeah, totally. And he was cashing in on that. And this is on the back of Dizzy, wasn't it? Dizzy, which we had before, didn't we? So
yeah, with the Wonder stuff. Yeah. Number 16 is "Ring Ring Ring, Ha Ha Hey" by De La Soul.
Oh God, this song! Do you know when I heard it, when I looked at it, I was like, "Is it the one I think it is?" And then as soon as I heard it, "Hey, how you doing? I'm sorry I couldn't get through." I was like, "Oh my God, it is that one!" Wow, really influential track that is. And I remember listening to that a lot with bloody Brown Sauce. So he must have been playing that for some reason.
But yeah, probably he was a big De La Soul fan, wasn't he?
Well, he had the afro. He had the afro.
That is true. That is true. He always carried a camera around with him right in his face.
He did. Yeah.
I never understood why. That's how he came out the wrong way of a library. In at number 20 is "There's No Other Way" which ironically is what he came out of in the library. There was no other way.
That's his statement. Yeah, it's his statement. That's what he felt.
Number 20 is There's No Other Way by Blur.
Yeah, our favourite Mockneys are back again, aren't they?
They are. This is the big breakthrough, isn't it? This one. This is the single that breaks them into the Manchester scene. But
exactly that. It was laser targeted at Manchester sound. I mean, and it's very accurately done. But it is a pastiche, and I think that's what gets lost in the midst of all this. We've said it many times. My statement for Blur is how they must have laughed as their butlers brought them their morning papers that day when they read how successful it was, because these weren't done to lads from some place. Neither were they Cockneys, neither were they Mancunians, as far as I'm aware. On the whole,
no.
So
Chelmsford.
Just very well targeted marketing at this point, and it was successful for them. Fair enough, and like you've rightly said there, Gulliver's Gold. It certainly was. It's not. I hate to say it. There's some songs by Blur, and these aren't the ones I like. I like the much later ones, like Tender and stuff like that. I much prefer the bit grubbier.
Yeah, they get better. The second album's good. I'll give them that because it's a pleasure. I think it's Modern Life is Rubbish is my favourite of their albums.
Aye, but Dave, you sing from their album Leisure this time round, and it won't be an album I'll be buying or getting any leisure from. So
number 22 is Children by EMF. What? I mean, it doesn't have Believe in the title, so I don't believe it's actually a real AMF song. And also, they had a third single.
Yeah, can you believe it? And it sounds exactly like the other two. I thought.
Crap.
Awful, really bad. Yeah, really bad.
I hate EMF. I can't stand them. Number 34
they're unbelievable.
In at number 34 is Are You Ready by AC/DC.
It's AC/DC, so it sounds exactly... If someone said to you, describe an AC/DC song, and if you described it like tonally, if you said it's going to contain these sounds, it's going to have this beat, and these things are going to happen in this sequence. And if you did that and you described an AC/DC song, every AC/DC song will probably sound like that. But this is another one of this with a video that's arguably exactly the same as the last one as well, only kind of colorized differently in a set of prison. But what can you say? It's a great track if you like AC/DC. It's not terrible in any way. It's good stuff.
But it's AC/DC, so you have to like AC/DC.
Yeah, totally. If you dig it, it's all right. Screechy, loud, thumpy, catchy. It's everything AC/DC songs need to be. So it works for me. Good.
In at number 50 is Power of Love. Love Power. I don't know what that means. By Luther Vandross. I don't want to think of Luther Vandross's Love Power.
He wants you to think of it, though.
I'm not. No, Luther. No, not again.
I want you to think about my power of love, my love power, one might say.
I'm not doing it, Luther.
So this was...
it's made me laugh.
So full of 90s synth presets that it's a wonder the Roland logo didn't appear and just sort of appear in the video. I thought I heard the Mac startup sound in there as well, so goes in there somewhere. The drum machine's too bloody loud in that mix, isn't it? Well loud. Distracting. It sounds like there's 3 conflicting drum loops.
Yeah, it's a Roland off. 3 beats facing each other, but they are one.
It is exactly that. It's just, as soon as it starts, every 90s preset went off on the keyboard. Like, oh my God, how do you make it stop?
Don't. That's my love power. It's the power of my love making it work.
It didn't even plug it in. It's like, what's the power in this thing? It's weird. That's my love power.
It's just radiating love, power.
Exactly.
Powerful love. So powerful it can turn on a Roland.
There's some kind of liquid coming off the keyboard. Oh, don't worry. That's my love power. Well, you know what? You can clean it. I'm going home and I'm taking me football.
In at number 51 is Oops, featuring Bjork by 808 State. Featuring Bjork.
It's been a while, Adrian, since we heard from this oddball, dry hinge sounding crow elf. I'm not sure what they were aiming for with this. It felt to me like all the musicians were in the same room, but they were unable to hear each other when they recorded that and played it.
Yeah, I could just imagine the conversation. We need some incomprehensible caterwauling for this track. Get me Bjork. Perfect.
It's like Beetlejuice. You have to say her name 3 times and she appears.
Don't. She will. She'll appear behind you. This podcast will be all the worse for it.
I have a hard time understanding Bjork and what she says because it's partly because it's sung in the kind of key that cats understand and partly because it's incoherent gibberish anyway. So, and add 808 State to that and you're just getting a complex situation.
You're just getting a state.
Yeah, she's I think it's what she actually is. She's a Scrabble word that escaped and became popular somehow. A really popular, powerful Scrabble word.
Sentient.
Yeah, it's a sentient Scrabble winner.
So she's a Scrabble bag that just grew lungs.
Exactly.
What have we got this time? AEIOJFA. Yeah, that's
songs in the key of Scrabble. Yeah, exactly that.
That's a good album title. I like that. In at number 63, Heartbreak Station by Cinderella. Oh.
Yeah. Like I refer to you to the what we said about More Than Words and other songs of that type. Yeah. Somewhere, somehow, someone's heard a ballad can be made popular. Because, I mean, acoustic-y ballads as well. So not just any old ballad. This isn't standard rock ballad. This is acoustic guitar-led ballad. And that's a whole new weapon in their arsenal. So now we've got this one. This is the sad ballad of a man whose face is being consumed by his fringe. And also it's cheesy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
when I watched this, I had the captions were on YouTube and I was watching it. And it just came up at the beginning, just went melancholic rock. I was like, yeah, that's it. Melancholic rock music. It's like, that's what I always wonder why, like, does that describe when people, for deaf people, when they hear that, can they imagine what melancholic rock music sounds like?
I don't know. I thought that was the name of the lead singer, Melancholy.
Melancholy. But this does have these great lyrics. She took the last train out of my heart. That makes no sense. They're not good lyrics. They're stupid.
No, metaphors off the chart, stupid there, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, get away.
Dear.
Go away.
His fringe is too heavy. Too heavy. Take your fringe with you.
Yeah, true. 28th of April, and number 3 is Last Train to Trans Central by the KLF, featuring the Children of the Revolution.
Ooh, now this is a bit special. So now some people are What Time Is Love lovers, and I'm one of those because I think it's one of the greatest dance tracks of all time. And alongside that, and easily two of the best tracks they ever did, was The Last Train to Trans Central. It is splendid. It's a splendid track. And that's because of so many things. The production's really good. The arrangement's amazing. I mean, there's loads of things. I could go on for hours and hours. I won't. But it's just one of those great tracks of the time where it's thunderously built of so many interesting things. And there's a great center uplifting bridge section, which everyone remembers. It's just, it is sheer, it's lightning in a bottle. And it's unusual that they could do that twice. And yet they did it with What Time Is Love. And then they come back with this. Now, this was weirdly not as popular as most of their other stuff, but I think it's just absolutely amazing. And there's about 9 trillion remixes of it as well. So good luck finding the original one, but it's out there to find. It is a beautiful, amazing dance track. Over and out from me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's very good. There you go. In at number 21 is Future Love EP by Seal.
Yeah. More love. Power love, future love.
There's all kinds of loves going on.
A love seal sounds like either something that you'd hold dear to your heart because it was a toy you won at a fair, or something that keeps you together with something and you can't escape. Or
the B-52s would sing it.
Yeah, it's a Silicon Sealant. Which would be a great title for his follow-up album, wouldn't it? Silicon Sealant. Come on, I'm giving these away today. I'm giving them away.
Sealed with a loving kiss. That would have been a good one.
I think that is one of his, actually.
Is it? Oh, damn him.
Yeah.
Exactly. That back.
Anyway, it back. I like Seal as a singer. Production's great on that track. It's very MOR, but it's all right. But it's just, there's a lot of this stuff around. It's a bit nondescript. It's a bit the same as the other stuff. It's nothing too special about it.
Nah, kitchen sealant. In at number 25 is Touch Me All Night Long by Kathy Dennis.
Yeah, Clubhouse by the numbers, isn't it? This really?
Yeah, this video is shit. It's dreadful.
This, what you were saying earlier about when AIs have gone back in time, this looks like a sort of video now. If you said to an AI, create me a video to this song called Touch Me All Night Long, it would create that. At one point, she's got 6 arms. It's like, it's definitely AI created.
Absolutely, and her fingers don't quite attach to her hands.
Exactly, she's got too many fingertips. I mean, she's a talented songwriter, Kathy Dennis. She did eventually pen, I'm not sure if she co-wrote it, but she penned Can't Get You Out of My Head by Kylie. And this felt like a Kylie song, actually, but it just not being sung by Kylie. So I wonder, there's only a few like this where they sound like Kylie Nearly songs, and she probably either didn't do them, turn them down, or for whatever reason, and I'll release it then kind of thing. So it's very bland.
Very bland. Number 27 is Just a Groove by Nomad.
Sounds like everything else that was played in the clubs around this time. It's the defining sound of, and when I say clubs, I don't mean underground, proper, decent clubs. I mean like charty clubs, towny clubs.
Towny clubs.
And this is the sound you'd hear it in towny clubs, and always this kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, I lasted 5 seconds, which is the name of my sex tape.
Goodness me. Okay, well, you'll make it onto TikTok with that.
Truth, I was aiming more for Vine with a second to spare.
Jeremy Vine.
Yeah.
Jeremy Vine.
Don't Let Me Down is by The Farm at number 36.
Do let them down.
Oh God, this song with that beginning bit. I'm Spartacus. No, this was so crap. Someone got paid money to make this.
Maybe they didn't, and maybe that's why they released it.
Why are they all in Roman gear?
Just none of it makes any sense.
Crap song as well. Awful.
Yep, awful.
In at number 40 is Gonna Catch You by Lonnie Gordon.
Yeah, see what we said about Just a Groove by Nomad.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's exactly the same as that. Same sort of thing, same vibes.
In at number 44 is The Other Side of Summer, or that would be more better for The Other Side of Summoner, wasn't it, by Bernard, by Elvis Costello.
Yeah, I never was really a fan of Mr. Costello. Was you?
I'd not heard this before, but I listened to it. I thought this was all right, and I thought it was all right because it sounded different to everything else. So it sounded something. Yeah. I was like, this sounds at least original than everything else we're hearing.
Well, it says apparently it's a Beach Boys pastiche.
I didn't hear that in it.
No, and it uses something called a wall of sound production, which is a thing, it's a type of sound where it's got like heavy instrumentation. It's a bigger sound. I think it's I forget the name of what is it, Spectre, whatever his name is? Not James Bond, arch enemy, the other one, Phil Spector type of sound. I think something to do with that. But anyway, I've never really dug Elvis Costello that much, I have to say. But like you said, it was a refreshing alternative to Lonnie Gordon and Nomad and that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And The Farm and all the other crap. Yeah, and number 48 is I Say Yeah by Seki. I don't know how you pronounce that.
Yeah, I think it's Sechi, like you say. More Clubhouse. This is actually a little bit better than the others because it's a little bit more housey. There's more house driving. So it's not like sort of, because that other one, I think it was Nomad, Lonnie Gordon was produced by Black Box, which is why it sounds exactly like Black Box. And that's what the sound is. I suppose if you're going to bracket it into a sound, Black Box and stuff like that, this one doesn't sound like that. This does sound a lot more electro house, which is makes it a little bit more interesting. But unfortunately, it's also, amongst poor company, isn't it? So
yeah, it's prime Hitman and Her material.
Yeah, totally that.
In the bits where it would sort of cut to just people dancing in the club where they were filling in 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, and then awkwardly it would go to Michaela Strack and everyone would go, and then it go to Pete Waterman and everyone would be like, no.
Get back to your train set.
He did. He got upset and they just got his little train and scoot off. Off he goes.
Yeah, absolutely. They had to build one in every club he went to. Right pain.
You pissed me off so much, I'm going to take the 906 back home. Off I go. All aboard.
Where you going? You're not moving, Pete. Signal's down. You expect the signal to go up. Someone raise the signal.
Someone hadn't pushed the track together properly. Oh, right. I forget. It's electric,
the electric's not going through it. Number 57, finally, the last one. Number 57 is Soul Cages by Sting.
MOR. And in the video, he looks like he's been smoothed so much in the video, he looks like he's CGI. He doesn't even look like he's a real version of Sting.
True. He has got the letters I and G in his name, so, it's
Could
quite
be.
close.
I think it is. I'm not sure that's even a real... I think that's very advanced graphics.
I think so as well. James Cameron's been at that.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that'd be very advanced for the time. But that's... Interestingly enough, I say it looks like CGI because that's what CGI of him would look like now.
It's AI. It's more AI stuff gone back in time.
Yeah,
Makes me a Sting video where he look quite real.
Yeah,
he's played a bass that's too long for his arms.
Yeah, smooth his face, smooth it to make his hair as smooth as his face.
Yeah, you'd keep adding the commands, wouldn't you? His face isn't smooth enough. Can you smooth that bit more? Sure. And then it'd give you a picture of something else completely different. That's not what I asked for. This AI is rubbish.
Unbelievably smoothened. Unbelievably.
Yeah, but it's a shame, really. I mean, he went really boring and uninteresting, didn't he?
Yeah,
just really dull.
I thought he was, but. And once he'd left the police, there wasn't much there for me.
Nah, like I said, his first album's all right. And then after that, it was all... Yeah. Let's get on to the albums. I'm not sure if there's much of note in here. In 7th of April, in at number 2 is Joyride by Roxette.
Yeah, big album for them with their Pretty Woman hits on it and stuff. So
yeah, but everything's been kept off number 1 by the original. This is a bad time to release an album because everyone's buying the Eurythmics. In at number 4, this is much higher than I ever expected something like this to be. It's Godfather by Ned's Atomic Dustbin. Debut studio album. I just can't imagine it get. I mean, it's obviously it's a fan album. It'll drop like a stone next week. But yeah, fair enough. Godfather.
It was the description of this that made me laugh. It's Godfather takes large influence from grebo, shoegaze, noise pop, and dance music, characterized by noisy guitars, complex drum beats, and its usage of 2 bass players, which is, I mean, that is an interesting combination. But shoegaze, noise pop, and grebo sound like the 3 characters you don't want to run into.
Sounds like something from a Macbeth. the witches making their spells.
There's the dark Rice Krispies that you don't want.
You don't want them. In at number 8 is Mama Said by Lenny Kravitz.
Good album, that is.
Yeah, everyone's just waiting for Are You Gonna Go My Way?
Yeah, if you like the Kravitz, you like that. But you can always get kicked in the Kravitz, and it really hurts. It's not nice.
Absolutely. Better than getting kicked in the Lennies.
Oh, did we say Kravitz? Kravitz was a type of cracker. I can't remember.
Probably both.
Get some cheese on your Kravitz. Actually, that sounds horrible. Don't do that.
No, the Kravitz is the bit between, isn't it?
Yeah. Nobody wants cheese on your Kravitz.
It's the bit between that no one likes to name.
Oh, he's got proper chafing on his Kravitz.
Absolutely. The boxes are too tight.
And that bike saddle's worn him down to the nub. You can see his Kravitz are red raw.
Rubbing right on me Kravitz.
Ouch. That's painful. Poor Lenny.
In at number 18 is Buddy's Song, the official soundtrack by Chesney Hawkes.
Yeah, featuring the song One and Only.
Yeah, the one and only one who acts. It's his debut album. I mean, fair enough. He basically made the film, made his song, and lived his life. It's the about a boy, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah. Number 40 is Ripe by Banderas.
This threw me because I can't believe that there wasn't a Bananarama album called Ripe. It completely threw me. I'm like, and then I read that the Banderas was an English female pop duo. I'm like, you mean we had Bananas and Banderas and we didn't have a battle? How is that? How did this happen?
The remix album would be called Ripened, wouldn't it? If you're going to do it,
you would. Yes. I threw me completely. I thought I can't believe that I'd never heard of it, really. I don't remember.
No, I've never heard of these, but they were essentially, I think they were backing singers from. They provided backing vocals, so we're kind of like Pepsi and Shirley, I think, a bit, if you think of it in that way. Because they were on vocals on the track Why Ain't You Love With Me. Jimmy Somerville appeared on it. Banderas band members Caroline Buckley and Sally Herbert being backing musicians with Somerville's band, the Communards. Johnny Marr from the Smiths, Bernard Sumner from New Order provide guitar on This Is Life, and Sumner also did backing vocals.
So they were in the studio at the same time then.
Yeah, but it's just notable. It's got old Giddy Bop on it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't notice. No, I've never heard of them. But it'd be interesting to check it out just to see. No, or hear.
Yeah, but in the as we've been mentioning, the big ballads, the ballad salad. In at number 52 is "Lean Into It" by Mr. Big.
Yeah,
the second studio album, which obviously had "I'm the one who wants to be with you" on it. So that and More Than Words were the two big ones, weren't they? The two big.
To Be With You is a good track, yeah. And of course, you've got Mr. Big as guitarist and the Gilbert, haven't you?
And the bassist, Billy Sheehan.
Paul Gilbert's a virtuoso, crazy good guitarist. And there's only really Nuno Bettencourt that could probably give him a run for his money at that time, really. So interesting that they both have these big hits coming. It's Mr. Big are what they are, very, very famous musicians doing some famous stuff, I guess, if you like that kind of thing. 14th
of April is number 2. And at number 2, is Real Life by Simple Minds. Their 9th studio album. It was the first album without founding member keyboardist Mick McNeil. He'd left the band to spend time with his family. Peter John Vitesse played keyboards on the album. I thought you could really tell the difference.
Yes, the Smipplemans are back, but I wouldn't know if they changed the lineup from anybody. They could have a different lead singer for all the difference it would make to me.
Yeah,
not my thing.
Who knew?
No, I mean they seem to have longevity. They seem to have lasted way longer than I remembered Simple Minds being around. So
yeah.
I mean, they're still around now, so...
I just thought they were around mid-80s for the Breakfast Club,
same.
And then they disappeared
exactly, but apparently not. Apparently they're still going. I mean, they're still doing it.
In at number 13 is Blue Lines by Massive Attack, the debut studio album from them.
Yeah, good stuff that is on there. I would imagine it's pretty influential given the lineup of people involved, so...
Tricky and people like that on it. And, I mean, it's basically it says here, generally regarded as the first trip-hop album. I mean, that was a
big
whole
thing.
new movement, wasn't it? Yeah, so,
yeah, it totally is. Yeah, very good.
Blue Line was named 21st greatest album of all time in a 1997 Music of the Millennium poll, completed by HMV, Channel 4, The Guardian, and Classic FM. 2000, Q Readers placed it at number 9 in the magazine's poll of the 100 greatest British albums ever. 2003, the album was included on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. And again, in 2012 and 2020, Pitchfork ranked it at number 85 in its list of the top 100 albums of the 90s.
Fair enough.
Quite influential and well-regarded, that album.
Yeah, absolutely.
In at number 24 is Rain Tree Crow by Rain Tree Crow. I asked the question, is that where they live on? What 3 words? If you put Rain Tree Crow into what 3 words, where do you end up?
I'm just going to look at that, actually. I want to know what it is. What 3 words? Let's have a look.
Let's have a look. Do that.
Let's have a look. I'm doing it
While
now.
you're doing that, I'll say what it is. Rain Tree Crow's sole album released by English band Rain Tree Crow, reunion project by the members of the new wave band Japan. Didn't know that. Recorded in 1989-90 and released in April 91. It was the first time that members David Sylvain, Mick Karn, Steve Jansen, and Richard Barbieri had collaborated at 4Priest since 1982. There you go. Is it in there, Rain Tree Crow? Is it a place?
Yes, it is. It's the Hongding Plastic and Steel Factory in China.
Okay. Members of Japan. That probably won't go down too well.
Actually, that might not be accurate. Let me just double check that, man. Let me just double check my facts. What was it? What's the words again?
Rain Tree Crow.
The closest we can get is Rank Tree Crow, Rang Tree Crow, or Rant Tree Crow. There's no Rain Tree Crow. I'm trying.
That's a shame.
Time. No, the nearest is Gain Tree Crow, which is
where's that?
That is in a very difficult to pronounce place.
Okay. Well,
the nearest place is Togo. It's near the Nakambi Forest.
More evidence that people going back in time and mucking around with things, I think.
Yeah.
Nobody would call themselves Rain Tree Crow. No one. Number 27 is Songs from the Mardi Gras by Fergal Sharkey.
Good old Fergal Sharkey.
Yeah, his third and last solo album. Former undertone singer. And there you go. Not a big fan of his solo stuff. He's been doing some stuff politically recently, though. And he's having got the water companies, I think, can he?
Yeah, songs in the key of gargle, isn't he? He gargled when he sang a lot. He fergled, actually. He's fergling. Stop it, he's fergling.
That's what a cat does, isn't it? In at number 31 is Main Attraction by White Lion. And Main is spelled M-A-N-E. See what they did there? Can you see it, Graham?
Yeah, classy. Bloody White Lion, honestly.
Well, Main Attraction is from the wiki is the 4th studio album by the glam metal band White Lion. Unfortunately, the album failed to reach the top 20 like the last 2 albums, receiving little airplay due to the rise in popularity of grunge.
Yeah.
It did feature the singles Love Don't Come Easy, which peaked number 24, and Lights and Thunder, an 8-minute heavy rock epic with a complex structure inspired by Led Zeppelin's Achilles' Last Stand.
No wonder why it was failed to reach the top 20 like the last 2 albums. There's your answer right there.
Right there. 21st of April is number 11, Word of Mouth by Mike and the Mechanics.
This is well out of my territory now.
Yeah, no, it didn't do as well as the last one, which was The Living Years. Everyone knows that one.
Are they actually mechanics? I don't believe they are, really.
They're not, no. I took my car to them and they couldn't fix it. Useless.
No. Sounds about right.
In at number 29 is Orb's Adventures Beyond the Ultra World by The Orb.
Pretty important ambient house sort of album, and it's still really good to this day. If you like that kind of thing, it's but it's the kind of one of the super albums of its type. It's amazing, really, when I listened to it again not long ago, because there's a remaster of it that came out, and it is beautiful to listen to. It doesn't really age that much either. The sounds and the scope and all the noises and stuff in it. It's genuinely brilliant. So interesting. In
at number 61 is Silver Lining by Nils Lofgren.
Okay, good. I'm glad it's there. I
don't think maybe outside of this podcast I have ever purposely listened to Nils Lofgren.
No, me neither.
And if I've listened to it for this podcast, I've immediately forgot it.
Yeah.
28th of April. In at number 5 was The Beast Inside by the Inspiral Carpets.
No, not my thing. I'm supposed they're okay if you like it, but I wasn't into it this time.
Yeah. In at number 11 is Hoodoo by Alison Moyet.
Yeah, it's going in a direction I wasn't a fan of the Moyet at this point, really.
No. Number 17 is Shiftwork by The Fall.
No.
Not
for me.
It's The Fall. It is what it is. Number 28 is Blood by This Mortal Coil. Now, I've heard of this
overly
Mortal
familiar
Coil,
with their stuff. Yeah.
but this is quite interesting. I read this. Blood is the third and final album released by a 4AD collective, this Mortal Coil, an umbrella title for a loose grouping of guest musicians and vocalists brought together by label co-founder Ivo Watts-Russell. Supergroup consists primarily of artists attached to the 4AD label, of which Watts-Russell was boss and president at the time. This double album was released in April 91 and was the second release on 4AD to utilise the double album identifier DAD prefix in its catalogue number. I didn't realise they were just like a conglomerate of artists, this Mortal Coil.
No, I didn't.
Never knew that.
No, I never knew. No.
Might actually go have a listen to them, because I don't actually think I have listened to them. Maybe Brown Sauce probably knows a bit about them. But
yeah, he'll know all about it. He'll know all about it.
Yeah, probably. In at number 33 was Raw by The Alarm. Their fifth and final studio album. They split up after this. I suppose you can only sound like U2 for so long before someone notices.
They changed their name to Us Two after this.
U3.
Yeah, Us Lot.
Number 34 for you, The Emotional Hooligan for Gary Clayle and the On You sound system.
There's something wrong with human nature. That's what I'll say to that.
Indeed, absolutely.
Let the carnival begin.
Absolutely. Every pleasure, every sin.
Every sin. Yep.
Yeah. And finally, another one for you. Number 38, Bring Down the Walls. No Limit, Squad Returns by Silver Bullet.
It's a great album, that is, with loads of really fast, aggressive rap on it. Definitely worth a listen if you can. Spotify it if you have to, or go to a charity shop and find it for the inevitable £5 or something it'll be. Or nip round to Gary's house and borrow his, because he's got it.
Yeah,
he won't let you borrow it, by the way.
Yeah, we'll post his address in the show notes.
Yeah. Feel free to go around and no, don't.
And his phone number and everything about him.
Go and find your own.
Yeah, we won't really post it. All right, there you go. That's the sounds of April 1991. We're going to take a quick break. We still have two odd games to come up for the rest of the episode, so please do stick with us. We'll see you after this. And we're back. We still have two games. We've had an elephant. Now, Graham, you get all the animals this week. We had the elephant. Now it's time to tell us about the budget pig, Huxley Pig.
Huxley Pig, $2.99 again. So it's budget. This was alternative software developed by Bizarre Developments, and this was coded by Michael J. Lister. Now, he did Battle Stations and DNA Warrior, and then the load of games that Zapped never reviewed, such as BMX Ninja and Addictable. So interesting. There's quite a lot under his banner. Richard Stevenson also did the code here. He did Dead or Alive. And also there's a load of games that weren't reviewed by Zapping with him as well. I've got him noted down as an NRIS, which is not reviewed in Zap. So Dead or Alive is not reviewed in Zap. The graphics are by, now this is interesting, the graphics are by Andrew Fisher. And Andrew Fisher is somebody that we've come across a few times. I think he's a listener to the podcast as also, and he's a beach person and a night person like myself. But also he's a lovely chap, and he did the graphics for this, and he's also done the graphics for loads of modern games. I think he's very into the scene still, and also I'm pretty sure retro gamer, and I've seen his name dotted about. He's a pretty influential scene and retro scene guy. So, but I'm guessing that's the same Andrew Fisher. So impressive.
I hope so.
And Paul A. Bellamy, he did the graphics also, and he did the title screen and music, and he also did BMX Ninja, which, as I said, is a game that did not appear in Zap. This was released on the Amstrad Spectrum and the Commodore 64. I don't think it made it to the 16 bits, probably for reasons.
Probably.
So Huxley Pig then. Who is this Huxley Pig? What are you talking about? Well, it was a British stop-motion animated children's television series based on a series of picture books authored by Rodney Pepe. The series was produced by Filmfare for Central TV with narration by Martin Jarvis. 26 episodes aired between the 5th of June 1989 and the 11th of December 1990, so a short run there. The main character, Huxley Pig, was always dreaming of adventure, exciting professions and encounters. At the start of each episode, Huxley would be in his bedroom talking to Sam, the squawking seagull, and wondering about something. He would open his big suitcase of dress-up clothes, try something on and say, I wonder. The picture would fade and be taken away into his daydreams for the rest of the story. In the dream, Sam the Seagull would be able to speak in a Cockney accent, and there were many other varied characters, such as Vile Vincent, the vampire pig butler, Horace, a hamster and something of a con artist, Cuddles, a fanged green beast, Sydney, a snake with a lisp. So let me get this right. Huxley Pig got dressed up out of his suitcase, had daydreams about Sydney the snake with a lisp. Okay. There's also the ringmaster pig who runs the circus, Ethel, Gloria and Myrtle, the three girls, Lady Agatha Porker, the lady who lives in the hall, and the zookeeper. The zookeeper's pig, who only appeared in Huxley Pig as the restaurant, which is kind of bleak. The adventures took Huxley and the gang to many places as long as there was food nearby. Food was close to Huxley's heart. Upon the conclusion of the daydream, Huxley would return to reality and find a memento from the story had mysteriously returned with him. Very children's TV, very friendly. No one is going to get too upset by anything to do with that. Now, are they? No.
No, they're not.
No. So the game then, everybody's favourite pig. It's not easy being a pig. All you do is eat your sandwiches, get to your room and have a super daydream about being a pilot or a sailor or a chef or any one of the YMCA singers and the village people. It's up to you. It's entirely up to you. Do it. You can be you. Unfortunately, Horace, that rotten rodent, had left the front door open and all the creepy crawlies are running around the house. Also, Vile Vincent, the vampire pig, has hidden all your favourite toys, and Sidney the snake isn't helping. He's hidden your pilots, chefs and sailors' outfits. Okay? Will Huxley ever get to bed? Every pig needs his beauty sleep. You have to guide Huxley through his house to find toys and items of clothing, which he needs to have his daydreaming adventures. In the main game, this game starts with Huxley standing in his bedroom. Your first objective is to get a toy from the toy room at the other end of the corridor. In order to do this, you must find a cross, which has been hidden somewhere in the house. Finding the cross will enable you to pass Vile Vincent, the vampire pig, who's standing guard outside the toy room. On your travels, you will encounter many hazards. Horace the rodent in the attic won't let you pass until Huxley finds a spanner. This will only happen once in a game, and you may pass Horace any time after the spanner is found. Sam the seagull is on the ground floor and will steal Huxley's toy, only if you haven't found one of the set of clothes which relate to the toy. Huxley may get the toy back after Sam drops in one of the ground floor items, and I'm not going to read any more of these instructions because it's more of a how to play the game and how to do the game kind of deal.
Yeah.
So this is actually, as much as the description sounds a little bit more complicated, it's actually a very, very, very simple game. This is actually a bit of a throwback, isn't it? This is a walk and seek, really, such as this, or an old school kind of, I guess walk and seek is what it is. Very old school. You know, walk to the thing, to pick up the thing, to go to the thing, to take it to the thing, to do the things. One of those. Yeah. But it's done in a very child-friendly way and on purpose, of course. So the source material for this is a children's TV show, an animated children's TV show. And so this very much follows in that theme. This is possibly why it's a bit simple. The game's a bit simple. Now, visually, it's actually pretty nice. So once the game starts and you get into it, you get a nice title screen, as it were, and then you get the opening and you can start the game and you're pretty much into this and you know, the game unfolds itself. Now, inside of this, you've got sort of a UI across the bottom of the screen, which is a sandwich, which is what you've obviously got to get, the score in the middle, and then the object, you and the object which you are essentially looking for next.
Dreaming about.
Yeah. And then above that is the game window, which is basically a scrolling multi-level house. So you're inside your house. And you walk around the house. It's a bit like a more detailed version of Booty, actually. It reminded me a little bit of Booty, only it's actually possible to do it, whereas Booty wasn't, was it? But the idea is, so you play Huxley, quite a nicely, it's all nicely drawn in its own medium res logic. It looks like what it's meant to be. So beds, shelves, picture frames, walls, staircases. You control this with the joystick. You're walking along. To jump, you press the fire button. Then there's little things and creepy crawlies you've got to jump over. Not too many. It's not difficult, this. And then you basically have to walk around, pick up the object, take it to the place where it needs to go. That will unlock a thing. So then you can go back and pick up another thing and walk around. And eventually you'll do that. And if you do it enough, you'll end up going to one of your dream levels, of which there are 3. Now, I wasn't sure because I played this and then I just watched a bit of a YouTube video to see what the other bits were like because I couldn't stand the sound effects for very long. And it says in the blurb that this is like a 4-in-1 thing. So I couldn't figure out whether this was 4 separate games or 4 separate loads of one game. My impression is that this is, it does actually load in, or there are other games parts to this because at one part you're in an aeroplane and you have to sort of avoid aeroplanes, and another part you're in a top-down sort of car and you're sort of racing against other vehicles. But these are all separate loads on the tape as well, so you can load these levels in completely separately and just play those bits if you want to. So you can just play Huxley's Dreams if you want to do that. I think the safest word for all of this is nice. This is a very nice game. Nothing bad happens in this game. Nothing. So you're Huxley. Like I said, you're Huxley the pig. Graphics are quite nice. It's okay animated. He walks with a kind of annoying noise, though. Like a digga noise all the time. And you jump, he goes beep, like whip. Like sound effects could get under your skin eventually. Yeah, they will drive you crazy because they're constant. But you walk around. It reminded me of a very, very basic version of the kind of Spellbound type game, only with a medium res twist, but super simplified for young kids. This game is not meant to be complicated and hard. You're not going to die. Huxley's not going to die in this, for a start. And Huxley certainly isn't going to die by running out of life, which is because you didn't. Nothing like that's going to happen in this. There's no, there's enemies in it, of course, and if you run over them, things are going to not necessarily go the way you want. But you're not killing creatures. You don't stomp on bugs. You don't shoot anybody. No one gets harmed. No, it's nice. It's like I said, the prevailing thing is nice. Fundamentally, that's how the game plays. And there's no more to it than that. There are things you can pick up along the way. There's things that you need to pick up to go to the thing, to do the thing, to do the thing. They're not exactly difficult. And the instructions explain all of them. So you don't really have to figure anything out, which means you could probably complete this game quite quickly if you thought about it. So if you do have energy in this, so your energy can run out. You don't die as such. I mean, you just wake up, right? So if you run out of energy, if your points essentially diminish to zero, then you kind of got to restart the whole thing again. But you can complete the game by finding 3 toys and 3 sets of clothing, and then you can change the sort of easy to hard display on the screen. Again, just go through the instructions and see that there are difficulty levels for this. Weirdly, I found all the difficulty levels exactly the same. I didn't see any difference. There was it's the same puzzles, the same things. The levels I described, by the way, there's Huxley Airways, which is where you've got to avoid the plane. There's something called Pizza, which is where you've got to match the toppings to the pizza, which is a bit lame, actually, that one, a bit boring. But I imagine if you've got a little kid and you're playing it and you're shouting at the screen and stuff, you could have some fun. And then there's what they call Speedboat, which is where you've got to avoid oncoming speedboats, turtles and logs. That didn't you laugh? Where are you exactly where you're avoiding those? So what can you say about this? I mean, I'm not going to be harsh on this. This is a simple budget game with some nice detailed graphics, albeit that they're medium res, but they look kind of nice and bright and colourful, and it carries the thematic of the TV show very well. I will say that. It felt like a real throwback to classic early C64 games, an old-fashioned walk and seek, like I said, complete with annoying sound effects and everything. It's really in the zone. It's not going to win any major game awards, this, but it meets the needs of its target audience really well. It's a simple game for little kids to play and have some fun on a C64 with a character that they love. And they haven't added complexity or difficulty. You've just got to find things and characters you recognize. It is a bit easy because of that, but that's the demographic. But you can have a good old-fashioned wander around. You could map it if you wanted to, if you really wanted to. It's not a huge map, so it won't take you long. But I thought the graphics throughout were quite nicely rendered. There's no bugs in it. Scrolling, such as it is all good. Movement was good of the characters. It's easy enough to get up and down the stairs. You don't have to press the fire button for every step or something stupid. Just go up and down. It's a good, easy game in the sense that it demands so little from you, really. You just have to wander around. It's not hard to figure it out. You see a vampire thing, you think, what do I need for that? And you walk down a couple of steps and there's a cross. You're like, and once you've solved that problem, it's solved forever. While you're playing that part of the game, I think it's another example, really, of keeping things very simple, maybe over simple, but simple. It's not for experienced game players of the C64 variety. It's too samey, a bit repetitive. It's not very exciting in that world. If you're a teenager, you're not going to really get much from this. But I don't know. There's extra game levels in there. There's a few things to play out. The graphics are okay. The mini games are all right. There's no sophistication of any kind. It is just meant for young kids, and in that, it does a decent job. It got 62%. I'd say that's probably about right. It's harmless and ultralight entertainment. No one's going to walk away from this going, that was terrible. And it's way better than Dick Tracy. So
that's not hard.
I mean, but there's no more to say about that. Did I like it? You can't not like it. It's really simple and nicely presented. It's just not very challenging for a more experienced adult type player. But for a young kid who's maybe making their first foray into some more complicated games and controls, they could have a bit of a laugh at this if it's a character they really liked. What did you think? Yeah,
pretty much the same. It's a bit too damn weird for me, though. It's just very odd. Wandering about a strange house, trying to find a cross to get past the Val Vincent. I had no context for this either in terms of the TV show because I didn't know it.
Exactly.
So
you need that.
And they need that. I mean, to get a plane, to get a uniform, whilst being annoyed by one of the most annoying jump noises I've heard in a while.
Yeah,
it's eventually too much for me. Chunky visuals. Do you remember the aged-old Henry's house? I was put in the mind. I was put in the mind of that. Obviously, that was single-screen platforming, but it had that kind of same colour scheme and same chunky look.
Yeah, I like the colours on it.
The odd UI with the sandwich and stuff, seagulls wandering around. I don't know. I think it's that crazy kids' TV show. It's just too haphazard for me. It's like, what the hell is this?
Not my demographic at all, this game.
No, exactly. I thought the bloody spiders were annoying. They were too fast.
Yeah, but they're easy. They don't always come all the way across. They kind of, once you jump over them, you can figure it out pretty easy.
Yeah, I thought maybe a bit annoying for like younger kids, quite possibly. I don't know, very odd thing. I just didn't take to it merely because it's just a bit too I'm not the demographic. It's well made. It's okay. It does its job. It felt very much like a not to be disrespectful, my first game contender. It feels like something that was just like, we're going to make it really simple.
Yeah,
so really simple mechanics, basic
jump
in. You jump on stuff. There's simple mechanics and principles behind it, and the additional games again, very simple stuff. Although the thingy one, planes and balloons whilst collecting hearts, I didn't actually see it, but it sounds like what's the balloon game on the NES? Balloon Flight, is it?
They're all like that. It's super simple, though. You just got to avoid things. You don't have to shoot anything.
Yeah, and obviously ones like Mastermind and stuff like that. It's probably, for the right audience at the time, I imagine a young kid playing this. And probably by this point, a lot of C64s are in the hands of the younger kids.
Yeah, it's Rupert-like. It reminds me of Rupert.
Yeah, that's another good call as well. Yeah, but yeah, whatever. For £3, I can't get too... it's not aimed at me, but for who it is aimed at, I think this would work quite well.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. That's Huxley Pig. The pig and the elephant rule this week. Let's move on. We still have one game left. And that game, well, it's another full price one. This is Gazza II. From Empire Software comes Gazza II, the sequel to Gazza's Super Soccer, which we never saw. It never is that, which is a stroke of good luck because it looks bloody awful. And this is considered to be a lot better than it, so one can only be feared just how bad that game was.
Yep.
Empire Software did the very decent Pipe Mania as well.
Yeah,
they released that.
Right.
And the rather odd Doctor Doom's Revenge.
Oh, that was odd.
They released that as well. So who knows what the quality of this will be like? I don't know. What I do know is that it was £11 and it got 60%. So another £11 one. The game was coded by Paul Clancy. We've seen him loads of times. Games like The Force, Game Over, Give My Regards to Broad Street, Legend of Cage, Miami Vice, Wizard Wars, and Time Tracks. That's a varied array of stuff.
It's a bit.
You can't say that Mr. Clancy doesn't, sticks in one genre. He does weird stuff.
Multifaceted.
The visuals are by Active Minds. That's not a description. It's just what it says.
That's what it says.
Yeah, and the music is by Mr. 3/4 of a second loop himself, Mr. David Whittaker.
It is.
The game loads, and when it's loading, it's got a yellow and brown digitized image of the famous picture of Gazza Italia 90. One where he's kind of, gritting his teeth and going, he's doing that because they've won, sort of thing. He's, pumping his fists. And it's got the words Gazza II, seemingly scrolled across it by a drunkard as an afterthought. It's like some
You're not
graffiti.
wrong.
It's just, Gazza II. Then the game starts with a confusing and far too busy front end. Front end is crazy. There are loads of buttons laid out across the screen. And in the background, Gazza II, just in case you forgot, scrolls from left to right. Just a character height. So it's going from left. One line's going from left. One's going to the right. And alternate lines. And they've got alternate italics. So one's leaning to the right, one's leaning to the left. And they've got, as it goes across the screen, they've got color bands. So it goes from white to yellow to brown. It's just, it's very hard on the eyes. You're trying to sort of take in what the buttons, and you're like, oh, God, Gazza, go away. Then we come to controlling the menu. So there's loads of buttons. There's 3 across the top, and they say press fire to pick squad, press fire to restart, and press fire to continue. Okay. So I don't know what we're restarting because we haven't done anything. You can't save it as far as I can see. So we can't continue. So press fire to pick squad just starts the game. But these are laid out across the top. So left to right. Left, middle, top, left, middle, right. But to move between them is up and down.
It is.
Which is stupid.
Not wrong.
We've said this before on UI. It's like, move the joystick in the... it's because, I don't know, this is not a very good menu system. If you want it all going up and down, just put it text in a list, like they did in Match Day 2 or something. Because then beneath that, we've got some game variables where we can set the level, so the difficulty level from practice to junior to amateur to league to international and tournament. I don't know if it made anything. Then we can set the match length, the pitch type, so it can be anything from icy to muddy to just normal. And then we get the wind speed, and we can go all the way from calm, nice, up to gale force winds. And then at the bottom, it's confusingly laid out in like this like 3 blocks laid at an angle And we get, so one's player one, and it says it's Italy. Was what it did on my copy. And we can choose whether they're played by a human or computer, set their tactics, 4-2-4, 4-4-2, 4-3-3, so, and their shirt colour. And then we could do the same for the second team. So at one point, the second team was England, which made sense, England versus Italy. But then I played a game, came back, and the second team changed to Hamburg.
That's a bit weird.
So it was Hamburg versus Italy, which made no sense.
What happened there?
I don't know. It just changed to Hamburg. Even though I'd selected to play an international. I don't know if anything had any bearing on this, because all you can do is, all this is a single game of football. That's all I could find in it. There's no league. I don't think the tournament actually plays a tournament. I couldn't find anything. Anyway, if you then go back to the top, selecting press fire to pick squad is how you actually start the game. At this point, you then get to pick your squad. You don't have to, because now the controls are on the keyboard. There's loads of controls at the bottom, which is, again, really unintuitive. Like, what is going on here? Yeah, but you can just press fire, it skips it. And so I didn't see the point of it. So I presume it picks a team for you because you have 11 players no matter what. Then we get we get some coin toss stuff, which I always lost, and then you get to choose the ends or kickoff, and then it gets into the game itself. So the game itself is a top-down, horizontal football game. We've seen this kind of weird thing, I think, in the first kickoff, similar to that, I guess, because that was viewed like this one, it left to right, top down.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And we said at the time that was weird. It's not the right way. And so that's what this is. At the bottom of the screen, we've got the UI. It's mirrored for both of them. So both, on the left for team one, on the right for team two. On the far left of each side, on the far right, we have a bar. It's like a kick power bar, which is your power bar. So you can hold the fire button down when you're playing it. That's how far you kick the ball. Then there's like a little sort of graphic of the name of the player we're controlling. Who cares? The center is the score. There's a timer, and the pitch view, which is really small and only shows the part of the pitch that the main game is displaying. There's a little sort of highlighted bit, which you kind of know where you are anyway. It doesn't actually show any players, so it's not really of much use. Above the UI, you've got the view of the pitch, and it takes up most of the screen. Scrolls left, it scrolls in all 8 directions because it's bigger than this. It's obviously bigger than the screen itself, to the left and right and up and down. And what happens is you get the players who they run on immediately as soon as we started. So they come running on. But the ref blows his whistle even before the players are in position.
And they'll run off.
Yeah, and it's just like, what's happened? And you can kick off immediately. And it's like, but you can also kick off to yourself. That's a no-no. I took a free kick to myself as well. That's a no-no, but it don't really matter in this game. And then things are off. So then we're playing football from this top-down view. The game itself, it's not too slow, but it feels fiddly to control overall. There's something about it. Again, we said this about kickoff, something about the way the screen scrolls and updates the sprites on the screen means you're never kind of running where you think you are when the screen scrolls upwards. You kind of miss the ball a lot because there's something wrong somewhere that they're not tied. The camera is not tied, or it's moving things, so you'll end up missing the ball loads. And that's what happens. The players, they mill about. I couldn't see any evidence of any kind of AI of anything. They're just running around, like they're just blah. And the computer will invariably walk past your players when they get the ball, and they just kept walking the ball into the net because my goalkeeper would dive out the way. My players wouldn't be able to do anything, and I didn't know what was going on. You can slide tackle, although this invariably ends with a free kick given.
I was going to say it's a foul generator.
Yeah, and you can take corners. It's got the corners, do throw-ins, goal kicks, all that, free kicks, everything. The longer you hold the button to kick it, the further it goes as the power bar goes up. There's all kind of stuff you could do when you've held down the power button, like pushing into directions to do a low shot, a high shot, and things like that. But lofted kicks and things. But but it's also got that kickoff style controls, but not quite, in the fact that it puts it in front of you and trying to dribble's a pain. But it's not very good. It don't control very well. And I found the computer's ability, like I said, just to walk through my players annoying, because as you would, because you can't play it. It's very, I'd slide into them from the front and they'd just run through me. Okay. I also, and this would have probably annoyed you as well, that it says Gazza II on the UI at the bottom, but the 2 is in Roman numerals and is smaller in font than the word Gazza.
Yes, it all bloody annoyed me. Don't worry about that.
The pitch graphics are bland. The way they do the sort of, they have the striping, and the striping can be, it's a dark green, and then you either get a light green and brown, or a light green and yellow, or a light green and blue, whether it's icy and things like that. and that's how they do that, the stippling effect. But the players are a bit blocky and a bit bitty, and they don't really move in any kind of convincing way. The animation's not great. Nothing looks very good. And so this isn't particularly. There's no reason to play this because there's no competition. There's no ongoing thing, which has all been ripped out because the Amiga version has all that. And the adverts for this game promise 40 teams, all this lot. I couldn't even find out how to change my team. I don't know how I changed from England to Hamburg. I don't know if it was a glitch, a bug, or something. I have no idea what was going on here. So, when you've got games like Micropro Soccer, Emlyn Hughes, and probably others that I'm thinking that are on the scene and are now a couple of years old, this isn't going to make any great shakes. Like I said, there's no depth to this. There's no way to, choosing a team I couldn't see a way. I was playing around with the menus. Maybe there was, I couldn't find it. You got a rather dull, really boring football sim. Seems hopelessly outdated at this point. Maybe if this had been released 4 years ago, before those two came out, might have had a chance in the sort of grand scheme of things. But even, just go play international soccer at that point. It's League One at best in football terms, and it's probably closer to the relegation zone than the playoffs at this stage. I don't fancy its chances much of staying up. This was not very good. I didn't like it. What did you think?
Same. Sluggish. Disappointing. If you're going to play a football game, you're only going to play one of them, aren't you? You're not going to really dive into this one. It offered nothing. Everything about it was just stupidly wrong. So the control of the players was bitty and it felt incorrect. It felt like they couldn't run diagonally, which is a real omission for a football player, I'd imagine. They kind of run left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right, but not straight diagonal. Chasing after the ball was the usual hodgepodge of scrambling about. Maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't, but you'll probably cause a foul. The left to right nature of the game threw me because these kind of games only seem to work top to bottom. The UI was stupid. The little map at the bottom, pointless. The Amiga version, that map actually is a map. But do you need a map of a football field, really?
You do when it works. You get it like in the FIFA games and stuff because it shows you where your other players are and you can
what I mean is, and do you need one in the context of these games, not FIFA games? This. In this, you've got a sprite-sized map. There's no use to anybody.
No. In terms of this, no, it's pointless.
In the Amiga version, it was a massive distraction because you always find yourself gawping at the map, and that was it. I think the Amiga one's actually worse than this. But this is just a bitty, relatively incomplete cash grab with the Gazza name stuck on it, with very little to offer. They haven't put much thought into it. There's bugs in there, like you've discovered clearly. It annoyed me that they said England and Italia when it had the team name instead of Italy. Just annoyed, little silly things like that. Just fonts being wrong. Everything about it just felt like it was no effort had been really put into it. It got 60%, didn't it? I would say that's a bit generous for this. It is maybe if you really like football games, maybe you persevere with it and maybe find some of the little nuanced bits and bobs in there interesting. I wouldn't have stuck at it. I never really liked this kind of stuff, and this just looks like a blocky monstrosity compared to other games that are better for the same price. So go and play them. Go and drag out your Emlyn Hughes, or go and get Micropro Soccer or any of those, because they're all better than this. So
absolutely, yeah.
No, I don't see why you'd have it. I don't see why you'd pay the money for it.
No, weirdly on Lemon, loads of people seem to really like it and sort of say it's one of the best football games on the system. Like you're no.
Well, I mean, like I said, if you're willing to put the hours in, maybe there's a game in there for you. Maybe, but I couldn't. I didn't enjoy it.
No, and I think it needs. Like I said, if football games need leagues and tournaments, and they need to have that. I mean, you can go back to international soccer, but at least that gave you a cup at the end of each game. But that was like back in 1983, 84 when that came out, whenever that was. This is 7 years later, and you're kind of expecting more to the package.
Yeah. I mean, I'm playing England and Italy, so...
If it's based on Gazza II, and you're utilising the iconography of Gazza at the World Cup, like we saw for the Italian 91 that didn't offer anything else, there was the official time, which was the arcade game that just converted. This, if you're doing Gazza II, I'd be expecting I'm playing the World Cup.
Yeah.
With the tournament of the World Cup. It's under the name of Gazza II, but you're not. And so, not for me, this. Very, very poor. Oh, there we go. That's it. That's it for this week. 4 games. CJ Elephant Antics, clearly the standout.
Yeah, clearly the standout in quite many ways. And definitely worth checking out because it's really, really excellent.
Yeah, I'd actually say go watch a playthrough of Dick Tracy. It's only 5 minutes. You're just going through it. Watch one of our patrons, ALH2 Retro. They've done a playthrough of it. They've done a walkthrough. You can just have it on and watch and just go, oh my god! Don't play it though. It's dreadful. Huxley Pig was okay for what it was, I guess. And Gazza II is a disappointing football game. Well, it's a start. It's a start to the month.
Yeah. I mean, one of the worst games we've ever seen isn't a good start normally, but there is also one of the better games we've seen for a long time.
One of the best budget games we've seen. Yeah, absolutely.
The yin and the yang, of course, but no getting away from Dick Tracy being a stain on the pants of the C64, is there? So.
Absolutely. Next week we get to the middle of the month. We've got 5 games for next week. Those games are Lotus Esprit Turbo Challenge. So that could be all right. We'll see what that's like. Judge Dredd.
Oh, dear.
Saint Dragon.
No idea. Sounds like a cheese.
No idea. Kentucky Racing.
Doesn't sound great.
I think that might be interesting. That'd be a good laugh at one. And something called Exterminator, which I have no idea about.
Nope.
Unless it's based on the film.
God, I hope not. You have to put someone in a meat grinder.
Yeah, could be interesting. I'm guessing it's not. We'll find out next week. But that's what we've got coming up next week as we continue our go through April. If you wish to support the podcast, you are welcome to do so. You can do that and it helps us out. You can support us financially by going to patreon.com/zapped to the past. Signing up for that. The full fat C64 tier experience gets you ad-free episodes, gets you them early. You get them on the Friday evening, get access to our Discord server and join in with all the stuff we're going on there. Gets you in the shout out each month, gets you, contributing if you want to contribute to our Ask the Podcast and end of year awards and things like that. So plenty of good stuff there if you fancy doing that, and also helps us out massively. You can buy us a Ko-fi on kofi.com, ko-v.com/up to the past as well. That's cool. Or, rate and review us. That all helps on the various websites and stuff and gets our name out there. If you'd like to do that as well. I think that's about it. Oh, and go to the shop. It's uptothepast.shop where you can buy mugs and t-shirts and stuff like that.
And stuff. Yeah, you can.
And stuff. You can do that. I think that's about it. Graham, anything you wish to add to the start of April?
No, my only thought is that I'm glad we've got Dick Tracy out the way because I wasn't looking forward to it and I'm glad it's gone because it's utterly crap. So let's see what the others are like now. Now we can move on from that now.
It is. We've still got 2 more film licenses coming this month with Hunt for Red October and Back to the Future 3, but they're for another episode.
I imagine they're probably going to be better.
I'm hoping so. They can't be worse.
No, that's true.
They cannot be worse. Okay, so on that note, I think it's time to say goodbye. So as ever, I have been Adrian Mills.
And I have been Graham Raddings.
And you've been listening to Zapped to the Past, and we'll see you again next week, where we continue with April 1991. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Zapped to the Past podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of Commodore 64 games, as well as the music, films and TV from around the 1980s, driven, of course, by the issue of Zap 64 magazine published at that time. We will return with a whole new batch of games and stuff to talk about next week. Until then, if you want to listen to or download previous episodes of Zapped to the Past, and why wouldn't you, they can all be found on our website at zappedtothepast.com, as well as being available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Audible, Player FM, and, well, pretty much anywhere where we can upload them. By the way, we do always love to hear from our amazing listeners, so if you'd like to contact us about anything in the podcast or beyond, you can do so by emailing us at zappedtothepast@gmail.com. We're also active on Twitter under @ZapTother, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and most social media platforms. Just search for Zap to the Past and you'll find us. Oh, and if you like the podcast and what we're doing, please do like, share, review, rate us. It really helps. Something, apparently. The Zap to the Past podcast is written and produced by Adrian Mills and Graham Raddings and recorded at Flaky Bits 2.0 Studio. All opinions expressed are those of the writers, and while we indeed love Zap 64 magazine, the Zap to the Past podcast is not affiliated with it in any way. Stay safe, see you next time, and remember, we play these games so you don't have to.